Hi everyone. Welcome to Adventurers Wanted Undergods. Looking a little different this month. Thank you for joining us for an evening of Dungeons and Dragons. My name's Chloe, and I will be your Dungeon Master tonight. Obviously, hopefully, most people who are coming across this are familiar with D&D in some way, but if you've stumbled across our channel and you're into other games or something else entirely, so you understand how it all works, the lovely people who are kind of all around me right now, they all play their own personal fantasy characters in a fantasy universe. They have unique characters with unique abilities, powers and such like. They all have character sheets that tell them what they're good at, what they're not so good at. And they will play their characters. Whilst they're doing that, I will play the remainder of the world that they are in, whether that's, I don't know, boats, dragons, cities, etc. And so we will often be rolling dice that look kind of like this. Oh, there we go, 20-sided dice. And everyone will be adding numbers or subtracting numbers from their sheet to those dice rolls to see if they are beautifully successful or terribly awful at doing things. And then between telling stories, improvising scenes, etc., and rolling dice to keep it unpredictable, we will tell a story. We have been telling a story so far. It's been as a live show, so this is our first digital, entirely remote Undergods, so it'll have a slightly different feel. But I'll give a little bit of a recap. We'll introduce characters, go over just a bit about how the stream will work, and then we'll hop into the game. So all of these people play characters who are Undergods, which are individuals who are descended from deities, so have some unique, almost godlike powers. They all are related to different gods, so have different powers, and they have been called upon by an organisation called the Tree to help stop what they now know is the construction of an ancient magical monument, which was stopped many hundreds of years ago amidst a huge amount of secrecy and fear about what this monument was meant to do. And it is now being rebuilt. Someone is stealing powerful magical items from all over the land of Nakara, where this is set. And it has been this group's task to recover those items, to stop them falling into the wrong hands, to investigate exactly what's going on. We last left them having gone through a bizarre and semi-dormant tomb where they met a very paranoid Medusa. They also met quite a mild-mannered adolescent dragon, and they found a magical item called the Heart of Beasts, which they've discovered actually has the souls of a Medusa and a dragon trapped in it, which was why those two characters were at odds. I mean, they've also discovered various other things. They've discovered a sentient Rorschach-like diary who is convinced that she belongs to one of them despite being hundreds of years old. They have discovered that if you get dragged into a miniature circle, akin to the one that's being built around the country, then you age by 6 years in 6 seconds. They've discovered a huge amount of things, but we're currently going to be rejoining them as they row towards the city of Eyra, where they have a contact who should have a lot more information to help them out in their mission. And with that kind of context, if you could each give your name, your pronouns, your character's name, your character's pronouns, and just a little bit of flavour about them and where they're at right now.
Cool. I'm Chris, I use he and they pronouns, and I am playing Rathar. Rathar Brandwise is a changeling, as in can change their appearance, and they use they and them pronouns, but the different forms they change into may use different pronouns, so I'll make sure to keep everyone up to date on what's going on there. Rath doesn't quite know what's going on, trying to put the pieces together and struggling a little, and finding out disturbing things about their own past and their people from the other changeling in the party has led to some very big questions. See how those big questions get answered today.
Hello, I'm David Alwyn, and
David?
I'm muted and I'm back again.
Okay, if you could go from the top of your description.
My name is David Alwyn, and I play Tendela Venkir, who is a tiefling, greyish in colour with obsidian black horns. he is the one who discovered that if you get dragged into a miniature circle, you age. And he's also the one that found the definitely cursed diary. So he kind of hung up his adventuring boots a while ago to raise his daughter. And unfortunately that he got pulled in for one last job. So here he is, failing miserably at not dying at every turn. So let's hope he survives.
Hello, my name is Griff. I use they, them pronouns, and I am playing Aware, as they're currently known, who also uses they, them pronouns, unless they're being somebody else that day, and then they use whatever pronouns that person uses. They're currently in the form of Callisto, who is the gender-fluid elf druid. They're sat eating bread in a boat. They've had a rough day. Basically, what we've discovered is that Aware isn't 100% actually happy to be on this mission, that they feel somewhat coerced by the people of the tree who have hired them to be there. And when or how or why that's happened hasn't been discussed, and the fact that they are currently speaking to no one and eating as many carbs as possible probably tells you a bit about why that discussion hasn't happened. So yeah, hopefully they will open up a little bit more at some point.
Hi, I'm Hannah. My pronouns are she, her, and so are my characters, whose name is Phoebe. Phoebe is an Aasimar who is an Aasimar cleric who's descended from the god Scala, who is kind of the god of like light and healing and fantasy Apollo, kind of. However, Phoebe hasn't really heard from Scala, her absentee dad, in quite some time, and this is her first big adventure. And things are not going very well. She keeps getting weird visions that she can't interpret, and has started going down a rather darker path than I think she envisioned for herself.
Hello, I am Tom Black. I use he, him pronouns, and so does my character Polaris. Polaris is a water genasi or water genie. He is constructed of the sea water itself, or so it appears. It is canon that he doesn't have any bones, but he is a humanoid figure that dresses kind of like a pirate captain, though he would always insist that he is a privateer captain, someone who has a license to carry out piracy on behalf of the state. The state in this case is the country that we are currently sort of sailing around in various different forms trying to help. And he was called upon by the tree as a fairly regular adventurer. He's very much in the prime of his adventuring career, but he does miss his ship, which he has handed over to his first mate while he's away. He doesn't miss his ship as much as he misses his childhood home, however. We recently learned that the reason he has to live on the surface or be as close to the sea as he can by being in a ship is that it is very unsafe for him to be inside the water, especially the sea, because his blessing from his deity ancestor is that he gives off powers. He has uncontrollable surges of energy when, for example, he's in water. It's very bad for him to be giving off lightning or indeed electricity energy, and this meant that as a teenager he had to be dragged away from his people and hasn't been able to be with his family ever again. They can occasionally come visit him, but he's had to adjust to that. However, that is all in the past, and he's working through it. He's trying to make a new life and has been for a while. Right now, he is a little conflicted. He was recently sort of de facto put in charge of the group. He's not categorically the leader, but he's sort of in command. If there's a decision that needs to be made as a snap decision, he's still waiting on getting the higher rate, however, to be paid for by the tree as a senior figure now. He's not going to push that too hard, but he is expecting to see an improvement to his pay packet. Speaking of the tree, he does have a couple of reservations. He recently found out some things about how they've been treating other members of the party, and it's not a straightforward business transaction for them as it is for him, which is surprising him, and that leaves him a little concerned. However, right now, he is, on the other hand, rowing a boat, and so very, very comfortable in his current environment. So he's focusing on the task at hand, which is literally to row this boat and to arrive in this new city and meet this new contact. So he's thoughtful, but just getting on with the task at hand right now.
Yeah. Cool. So for those who are watching. This will run for around 3 to 3.5 hours. We can't be entirely sure exactly how long the story will run, but we're aiming around there. And there will be a break somewhere halfway through, like a 5-10 minute breather. This stream, as you can see on the overlay, is sponsored by D&D Beyond and by Ultra Pro. We're so delighted to be sponsored by D&D Beyond. They are the official digital toolset for Dungeons and Dragons. They offer a compendium of all the game's rules, the lore, the adventures, digital tools like character builders, encounter builders, character sheets, which all of our players are using. And I'm trying to see if I'm pointing the right way. If you go over here, just past Griff's head, then you can click on everyone's pictures, everyone's little icons, and you can see their character sheets. Also, there's the digital dice alpha, which I believe has actually just arrived on D&D Beyond. Anyone with a master or hero tier subscription has early access to rolling dice for any check, attack, and much more directly from your character sheet. It might even be out to date. And also during lockdown, they've also made various adventures free to people, so do check out what they've got available on their site. We're also super psyched to be sponsored by Ultra Pro as well. They help you get your tabletop organised with character folios, dice bags, and more. They do so many things. They are a leading supplier and manufacturer of sports and gaming collectibles. One of those is something that we give away on Monday nights. So if you want a Xanathar dice bag, check out our Monday night streams and you could win one of those. Also, we play with a diverse group of players who play a diverse set of characters with wide-ranging sexual and gender identities. Our tables are trans-positive and we encourage and champion trans players and characters in games. Myself and the characters may and indeed do portray characters that are of a different gender to our own. We aim to avoid misgendering, but we acknowledge it does happen and we have a policy in place for correcting it. If we miss an instance, however, we're open to being corrected, so let us know. Mention in the chat if you think one's been missed. And with that, I will mention that I use she, her pronouns, but I will be playing various different characters throughout the game who use different pronouns. And additionally, you might see people using these occasionally in the game. These are just like a safety and handy mechanism that we're using so that everyone has their own pause card, and it just means if someone is feeling a little bit uncomfortable or needs a breather, then they can just lift this up and we take a little break and come back when we checked in with everyone. But equally it might be our internet is going out, I need some help, I can't hear anyone. So with that, I believe that's all we kind of need to know. We've had our little story recap, so let's get into the game. So you are all currently in quite a small little keel boat style rowboat in the middle of this huge fjord of Utheroin. It's dusk, it's turning into night, there's absolutely beautiful stars and hints of a kind of aurora borealis effect overhead. It's incredibly quiet, it's incredibly peaceful. Even though the fjord obviously connects to the sea, the waters are relatively calm. The 5 of you are there. You are also there with Ilsmidai, who their true form is that of a dragon, but they currently are in humanoid form, looking almost kind of like an Indiana Jones style classic TM adventurer. And they are holding onto the Heart of Beasts, which is a large dragon egg and what you were sent to retrieve, or at least stop the Dawn, the group that you're working against, from getting from that tomb. Tender and Polaris, you were the first ones up rowing, so that everyone gets a little bit of a rest. Is there anything that either of you two want to do or want to talk to each other about whilst you're in the middle of this very quiet, beautiful, moonlit fjord?
I mean, end of the last session, Tender did return with Polaris, which what we learned about Aware, which was that the tree seems, at least according to Aware, that Aware's people, for want of a better word, are being threatened if Aware doesn't play along with this adventure. And Polaris did say at that time that now wasn't really the time we couldn't find out much more about it right now, but he had noticed it and was going to think about it, and we were going to keep an eye out. So that's kind of where the conversation was left. So
yeah, it was a slightly awkward ending to that. Yeah, now we row.
They're not the two most like socially adept members of the party. So,
Yeah.
Though that said, I don't know who is.
I was just thinking.
Cool. Tender, you had spoken to Ilsa. I just want to check that you don't want to do any speaking to. Sorry, not Ilsa. Eyra. The sentient diary.
I don't. Not while I'm rowing.
Okay.
He's going to concentrate on rowing. I think he is. He's having a think. He's very much just kind of, if that is afforded to him, a moment to just kind of try and piece all this stuff together. I think Tender is very much having a row with his captain, and just taking a moment to try and figure out where he fits in all this. If the tree is a little bit underhand, which he sort of knew anyway, but was willing to look past just to get what he wanted. And I think now he's having a thought of maybe they're worse than I thought.
Can I get you to make I'm going to say history check because it's to do with memory.
Sure. That is sorry, here we are. Ooh, I've got a good history. That is a 15.
A whole day's gone by and you've not spoken to your daughter.
Yes, as soon as I was going to finish rowing, I was going to do a ascending
So
stone.
you're now coming to the end of your shift, as it were, in terms of rowing.
Cool.
Having just been kind of very dutifully and silently and stoically rowing alongside each other.
Yeah. Who's taking over from?
It's up to you. Everyone else is kind of resting, but there's two other pairings, so.
My arms are getting a little tired, actually. Polaris.
No, that's quite all right. We've been going for some time. Right, I glance down to see if anyone's awake already.
I'm sat in my changeling form at the moment, just looking out over the water, lost in thought. Not asleep.
Cool. I turn to Tender and say, "Wait here a second."
Right, should I keep rowing? We're going to go round in a circle.
No, you were doing really well. Just stop for now. All right. I wander over and who would I pass first, Phoebe or Aware?
I'm at from what I remember from the end of last session, I'm at the end of the boat with Montana James, with Elsmedai.
In that case, Polaris will pair the two of you, so we'll actually tap on Aware. Kind of it's a sort of like a backhand tap on the shoulder. He's a man who's used to getting people out of hammocks at short notice. And he turns to Wrath while he's doing that and says, "All right, you two are up next."
Aye.
You ever rowed before?
Yes. I mean, not this distance, but I assume the mechanic is the same.
Oh, anything happens, you come find me. I'm a light sleeper. You gonna be all right, Wrath?
I'll manage, I suppose. Physical labour not really my strong suit and all.
I'll go easy on you.
Seeing if I've got anything that will do it for me. No, not really.
Well, that would be a trick.
Oh, could I use a mage hand, Chloe?
A mage hand can only carry so much weight, and the actual force of when you're pushing an oar through water is a little bit too much.
Yeah, that'd be more than 10 pounds.
Hence the famous Nakaran sailor saying they're about as much use as a mage hand with a 12-pound oar. Classic saying.
Classic.
Have that prepped.
It might be something that your first mate often says.
Nice.
Considering my strength score of 8, I will give it a go.
Cool.
All right, you're at the front. I go back over to Tender, tap him on the shoulder, supportively, and I kind of, well rowed there. You're well back your age, which, given the circumstances.
actually a little stiff now. I didn't really realise quite how much it was hurting until I stopped, you know.
All right, have you got anything to do about that?
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll him. Just roll him a bit. Bit of rolling. It'll be alright.
I'm gonna punch you in the back.
No, I don't. That's gonna help. No. I'll come to you if I need it. I've just got to go and. Then he takes the sending stone out of his pocket. I've got.
Right. Cool. Now, yeah, Polaris will then gesture to Aware and Wrath, kind of take both oars and just hand them out, and then yeah, I think the Polaris goes back to his place. It goes back to sit where one of them was, and looking at being reminded of what Tender's up to, he will think about Itholder. It is Itholder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, Itholder is the first mate, dwarven woman who is now running his ship, and just think about. He doesn't have a sending stone or anything, so he just like sits back and is like, think about her for a while.
So Tender
will go to the prow of this sailing boat, and in this beautiful, calm, still thing, just take out the sending stone. Hello, Len. It's me, Tender. Going to be bit longer. Hope Jack's not treating you bad. Message if need anything.
5 more.
Love you very, very, very.
And that's it. It takes like a couple of minutes before you get anything back. But then you can hear inside your head, God, Dad, it's so late. I was asleep. Well, not with Jacques now. With tree people.
I did organise that.
You did organise that change.
It was a much longer ago in real world than in D&D world.
I can't remember if I've got 4 or 9 now. I think I've got 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess I'll see you soon.
Oh, he forgot what he'd done with his daughter.
Love you very. Runs out before can do more berries.
Just the one.
Just the one berry.
The one very cool.
I really messed it up. Just got the one berry.
Yeah. And it is super late. It's the middle of the night. But you can now go to sleep if you'd like to.
I can now. What? Sorry, Chloe.
If you wanted to rest, obviously.
Yes.
Wrath and Aware have been brought onto this. I think you do have the spell sending, right? Do you have?
Yes,
the spell?
I do.
Okay. Because obviously, in case of an emergency, if you needed to send an extra one, you could always do that. You're not limited.
Yeah, he was actually just thinking about whether or not to follow that up with the spell sending if he was then going to rest, since she's already up. He will use that spell slot to send another sending. Sorry to wake you. Didn't realise time. It usually dark. Hope tree is good. Trust. How many do I get?
24.
No one.
Think now.
I trust you. will come find soon.
Okay.
That did not do what I wanted.
I don't think that improved things. So, you again, it's like a couple of minutes. You're probably just waiting on the prow of the boat, being like,
I don't have another sending to clarify.
and you get
She's gonna have so many questions.
you get another message back going, okay. Don't really know what you mean by it always dark. I'll try not to trust anyone.
It's my girl. Using a word for is good.
15.
I guess I can practice crossbow like Jack taught.
Good lass.
And that's all you've got.
Oh. You just like out into the world, out into the wild. Yes, practice the crossbow.
What?
Nothing. I'm gonna have a lie down. I used a spell
To make a crossbow?
No, to send a very, very vague warning, which I now regret. You know when you don't want to worry someone, and then you end up worrying them because you don't want to worry them.
No, I'm fluent in semaphore. My precision is key to everything I've ever. I say this genuinely with affection, Tender. You've proved yourself very well indeed these last few days, but you would have benefited a great deal from some military training.
I learned on the job.
Oi, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, precision. Sleep well.
I'll sleep as precise as I can. And he goes and just lays down, like flumps in the back of the boat, just kind of puts a rag over his head or something and just kind of tries to sleep.
Yeah.
Aware has watched all of that with the kind of interest that one takes in a new species that one has never seen before. There's just a kind of, so this exists. Okay. Complete lack of comprehension in the entire thing. Is, at this point, Ilsmede somewhere I can see her then?
Them. Them for Ilsmede. Yeah, like they're sat near Phoebe, I believe. But quite obviously, there isn't really anywhere to hide on this boat. It's very plain, it's very basic.
And are they awake?
From what you can tell, it looks like they're asleep, or they're at least resting. They're kind of huddled over with the dragon egg that is the heart of beasts on their lap and their head down.
I think Aware, in settling themselves into position on the oars, will like kind of get as close without touching as possible to Ilsmede. And just see if there's any reaction, any awareness that another creature is near them, any kind of anything.
No, there doesn't seem to be. There's no kind of like special alertness or trancing or anything like that. It seems like just actual sleep.
Okay. In which case, as though it's like a full body sigh, Callisto just falls off of Aware. And for the first time, I think as long as you've all seen Aware is sat in their grayness and seems like that's going to be the way it's going to stay. This isn't an expression, it's not done for effect, it's just releasing.
Cool. And you're sat there basically across from Wrath, who is now also rowing beside you.
As I sat down, I shifted into a grumpy, bit shorter than me, black hair, black beard, constantly furrowed brow dwarf, and have just started rowing.
Is there anything that either of you would raise with the other? Though obviously I'm aware that, like, as characters, you might, again, just kind of be sitting with your thoughts and rowing silently. But you've got a kind of stretch of time, so is there anything that would come up over that stretch?
I think in sitting down, Aware would go, that one's new.
You might have seen them earlier. They were at the villa. Yeah.
Got a name?
This one's Cornar. I've met him on a job. He's assassin. He's very you know.
Great. And that's it.
Yeah. Over the course of time, the after about maybe 10 minutes, the form will probably shift into a shaven-headed she/her elf, and back again. And it's almost like the form will slowly shift out as professionalism shifts into boredom, and then back again when, oh, no, trying to get back into it. So there'll be a little bit of that going on.
If at any point Elsmadai moves, it will just instantaneously, like blinking, Callisto will be back.
Cool. At the moment, like Elsmadai, there is movement, but it's only like breath, and with the movement of the boat, it's nothing like jarring or sudden or anything like that. Cool. Obviously you're rowing. You know that you have, sorry, this is for Aware. You know you have a book that mentions the Astherno Circle. Do you want to do anything with it before you get to Eyra and this apparent contact, or will you be looking at it when you're at Eyra?
They wouldn't be able to read and row.
Yeah.
They're not that
They don't
strong
have that much
or adept.
special road stuff.
But yeah, I think if there is a point where there's a watch switch and somebody else takes the oars, then yeah, having already rested a bit, then yeah.
Okay.
I would just like to note that this is the second time that the captain has immediately come and woken Aware up in order to work, and Aware is noticing this. All right. You're on notice.
What shifts?
It's always me. I don't get to nap.
You're all getting the same amount of rest, fundamentally, over the course of the night.
Fair enough. That's true. Then Aware might just work the rest of the night because Polaris has gone to sleep. Aware won't know to go and get Phoebe.
Oh yeah, like there would be, because no instruction was given, Aware would just keep going until somebody else did something.
Wrath.
In which case, at some point, once I've shifted into the female elf again, with the shaven head, there'll very much be a, is anyone else going to take over at some point? Is that going to happen? Anyone?
Phoebe's asleep.
Yeah, everyone else on the boat is currently asleep.
Look at Aware. What do you think? Should we ask someone? There's got to be someone who can take over at some point. This is. Oh, my arms are tired. It's not me. It's not me at all.
I mean, yeah. Go wake up Phoebe. Phoebe hasn't done anything.
The moment you say "go wake up Phoebe," like jumps up out. Like there's almost like, probably not a backflip, but there's just that sort of restless, skittish energy, and she just taps over Phoebe and just do.
So the moment just before you've woken Phoebe up, because Phoebe has been asleep, and whilst you've been sleeping, you have had dreams, and those have shifted from what you know as dreams into something that is more akin to the visions that you get from your ancestor, the god of truth and beauty and light. It's had a different quality. It feels like something's getting sharper. It also feels more intense. It feels more real. It feels more close. What you keep seeing is also a little bit more abstract, because previous visions you've had, it's been abstract stuff happening still within like the setting of the Barren Lands or something like that, or you've been able to see roads that are moving through space. Here you get repeated images of circles, And that might be a circle, which is a circle of people holding hands. Sometimes it's a circle that's surrounding an island. Sometimes it's a circle which is a snake just eating its own tail. Various different forms of circles coming up in your vision. And you're hearing some of the phrases that you've heard before, but in slightly different formats. Instead of hearing "it's anyone's fault," you hear "the anyone." It's all about the anyone. The anyone is at the center of this. And you also hear the phrase "the ghostly tale," getting closer and closer, the ghostly tale that you're a part of. And that then dissipates. All of the circles dissipate away, all of this sound dissipates away, and you are seeing Scala's face. Now, you know from your contact with Scala before that this is still a vision of him. This is not him immediately communicating with you. You feel like you're having a vision of what is to come from him, of a future encounter with him. And so you see kind of incredible jawline, classic Grecian epitome of a man in terms of what Scala looks like, bathed in golden light. And just before Wrath wakes you up, what you get is his eyes looking directly into yours and just going, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." And then you're woken up.
Oh, fuck.
You're right. It's your turn to row, apparently.
Right, yeah, sorry, just waking up, my turn to row. Okay. Oh. My dad just apologised to me, what the fuck?
Wait, who's your dad?
Scala? Do you not
Right.
remember between different forms?
No, I do. I just hadn't taken it in. Right, okay.
Never mind. It's chill. I'll get to rowing, I suppose. And am I rowing with someone or am I on my own?
That's a good point. I've no idea. Where are you going to keep rowing?
I'll give it a couple more hours and then.
Swell.
You are aware, depending on whether you would trust them, that there is obviously one other person on this boat who hasn't yet done a rowing shift.
So the plan at the moment is twofold. It's one, to look hard, and two, to wake Ilsmede up as soon, because Ilsmede is a dragon, and therefore Aware is very sure that this dragon is stronger than they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is just a little bit of, no, I got this.
Sure. Can you roll me a performance check? Wrath, you can roll insight, or just we'll judge it on the roll. But since this is Aware trying to look hard in front of you, fundamentally,
It's 12.
No, not a clue.
okay. You look
Yeah.
really hard.
Hard as nails.
All right.
Dench.
Wrath will perch where Phoebe was perching, and while perching, they're still looking quite bored and not quite sure what to do. Will probably... Have I already slept? Did I sleep beforehand, or do I need to sleep more now?
You've already slept for a little bit. I know that for some people, when your sleep's interrupted, that means that you've not rested properly, but I'm counting this as, since everyone's on a rolling scale, everyone gets a full night's sleep by doing at least 2 blocks of sleep, as it were.
Cool. In which case, Elaine, which is this form, will probably just sort of awkwardly find different seating arrangements, flip between them for roughly about 5-10 minutes, and finally sort of hanging upside down off a bench with feet sort of curled over, and then drop off.
Yeah.
Phoebe makes her way to sit adjacent to Aware and picks up the oar, and then, almost doing a bit of a double take, can I ask you something? It might be rude.
I think we're past rude by this point.
Cool. I keep getting messages, right? But this one, I don't know, I'm not very good at this, but it might So you're a changeling, and that means you can be anybody, right?
I can look like anybody.
So, I got something. Phoebe is really struggling because they do not want to jeopardize anybody else.
Can I roll perception on that?
Yeah.
Roll insight.
Insight.
Yeah.
That's a 6. Aware has no idea what's going on.
Yep.
Just gonna let you struggle.
Okay, I got a message that was like, it's anyone, the anyone. It's all about the anyone. Now, could be you? It's all about you? I don't know.
What? There's a thought that passes. It's really difficult to read Aware, I would say, for anybody
They
who
are
isn't
blank
changing.
right now.
Because, well, I mean, like, you can't even really tell where their eyes are looking, because there's no pupil. It's just gray. It's like looking at a clay bust of a face. But there's a moment of pause, and then there's a shift in color across the entirety of their body that looks like all the shades of autumn. And then their face goes, and they look back. That's my name.
Your name's...
In the same way that your name's yes.
I can't do I can't change I can't look like autumn, but
I'm just saying I have a name.
thank you for your name.
So I'm not anybody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The whole point is that you don't know. The less you know, the better. But I doubt what you're seeing is about me. I doubt I'm that important.
Okay. Well, the less I know, the better. Would be nice if I didn't keep being given information about knowing things. But sure, yeah, no, I get what you mean. I'm sorry.
So what information are you being given?
I'm going to roll an insight if that's okay. Because at this point, Phoebe basically went out on a limb. Yeah. Oofed. Okay. D&D Beyond. I have 16.
So what are you looking for?
Whether Aware is trying to help or is Aware in it for themselves, or are they actually trying to help?
It's twofold. I think they are definitely trying to help. They do want to help, but they also want to know. Knowing things is their job. So there is an intentness there that is beyond helping, but the helping is also there.
Okay. Right. Well, okay. Long story, very, very short. I've had these visions, right, over and over again, but now they're getting like jumbled up, and I'm just seeing lots of circles, which I assume is about circles. You know, we're stopping circles, but they're like circles of people. Basically any circle you can think of, and then it's anyone. It's all about the anyone, and then the phrase "the ghostly tale that you're a part of," which that's weird, and I haven't managed to connect the dots there yet. But yeah, that's what I've got at the minute.
I have a book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just a moment. And Callisto comes back up, and Aware ships their oar goes over and doesn't touch, is very careful not to touch Ilsmede, but stands and goes, Ilsmede, darling.
Yeah.
I think it's your turn at the oars, dear.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes.
Lovely.
And just kind of moves, but still has the egg and kind of positions themselves so the egg is basically sat in their lap.
So then Callisto slots himself in. Is there space on the bench next to Phoebe?
Yeah. You can
slots himself in next to Phoebe and pulls the Tales of the End, which is the book in Gnomish that we discovered at the camp where they tried to make an arch and we stopped the arch but lost the crown in the rocks.
Yes.
See previous episodes. And starts flipping through it looking for mentions of ghosts, because that was Ghostly Tales of End. It makes sense in a were's head.
Sure.
Do you read Gnomish, darling?
No, sorry, I don't.
I'll just have a little look, shall I?
Oh, yes, please. Thanks for this.
Not at all, dear. It's part of the job.
So when you're looking through for references to ghosts, are you literally like flicking through pages? Are you trying to see if there's some kind of there's chapters, because it's about different instances of semi-apocalyptic events or apocalyptic prophecies and such like, or things that were rumoured to have links to such things. How are you trying to... Do you want to roll me an investigation on finding references to ghosts within this book? Because it doesn't have like a convenient index at the back.
Yeah. I think as Aware turns their attention, let's go with Callisto so that we know what we're looking at. As Callisto turns their attention to the book, and reassures Phoebe that this is not outside of the realm of things it's okay to ask for, there is like a pat on the back that's just kind of like a throwaway, just a little bit of comforting, but it's not there's no sincerity or connection there. It's the attention is on the book. And I think one of the things that Callisto will start with is looking at the Astherno Circle / Astherno Gate, because that's something that they've looked at previously. So it's probably somewhere important. We're looking at a history check. Is that right?
Investigation, just because you're technically trying to find instances of this thing within a book. So that feels
fine.
more apt.
26.
Oh, shit.
I'm good at books.
You book good.
Proficient in book. So yeah, you're looking through the section on the Astherno Circle. There's various bits of information there, but you can't find anything that's referencing specifically a ghostly tale. There are mentions of ghosts or of death, partially because there's a section which is basically about conspiracy theories of what does this circle do. And one of the options is people theorizing that it's someone building a giant circle of death that encapsulates the entire island. But that also sits alongside a couple of others, which I can tell you if you decide to kind of read those bits and pieces. You have a little look through the rest of the book. You do see something, and it basically there's a small section which is about what's called the sacrificial drive. Several hundred years ago there was a period for quite a long time, we are talking hundreds of years, called the sacrificial years, and it's simply because that was a period in Nikaran history where there was so much war, there was a lot of conflict, there was a lot of disease and such like, that a lot of people died, and it's only outside of that time that Nikara has settled into relative ease and stability. However, there was a slight period there where actually Kalaya, the undergod of the tomb that you were visiting, near the end of the sacrificial years, headed up something called the sacrificial drive. And it's only mentioned once in the entire book as part of a quote of something Kalaya said at one point. But apparently this drive was because Kalaya, as a undergod of destruction, of isolation, of war, thought that she might be able to ascend to godhood by embodying those qualities as much as possible. And so it wasn't a huge sweep because it wasn't hugely successful and it was at the end of the sacrificial years, but she committed what was known as the sacrificial drive, which caused a huge amount of destruction in certain parts of Nikara. And there is one quote from her which says, "This is all part of me becoming part of the ghostly tale," and that's the only reference you find to it in the book.
Shit. Darling, I think we're going to have to wake the captain. I think this is important.
But right now, do we have to? He's having a rest.
Well, I'd like to get to it before we get to land, because, frankly, I think this is rather important.
And Phoebe scrambles over and, very close to Polaris's face, just goes, "Captain?"
No. I'm Undergods. No. What?
Sorry, we've got some information for you and maybe everyone else. It's important according to... And then Phoebe starts to turn her head and then Aware and looks at Aware like, right? I've done it. I'm doing the right thing.
Yes, darling.
Let's have it then.
Just a reminder that both Tender and Wrath will be asleep right now.
I'm
Do we
going
need to rally the troops, or...?
You were the one who said we should tell the captain. Should we tell everyone or just...
Yes, that's what I'm asking the captain.
Oh, right.
Well, well, there's different sorts of levels of things. With the tree up to no good, that may be waiting morning. There is a massive bull shark coming in about 30 seconds. Maybe we wake everybody up.
More centuries past, gods coming from people, lots of visions, that kind of thing.
Go on.
Look, do correct me if I'm wrong, Phoebe. But Phoebe has been having visions from her father, I'm going to assume, from what you said earlier?
I mean, I'm assuming that too. Who knows?
Right. So her father's been telling her about the ghostly circle, and I've got a book here, and this is a book that they were using in the camp. Do you remember when we found everything? We showed it to the tree. Yeah.
Aye.
So in this book, there's mention of, what was her name?
Helaya.
The undergod, the temple we just came from.
Aye.
Tried to make herself into an actual god. And she seemed to be driven by something called the ghostly circle, making herself...
No, the ghostly tale.
Ghostly tale, pardon me. It's difficult to keep all the different terms in order. So, the ghostly tale she was making herself a part of, and she was doing it by killing just a lot of people, really, an awful lot of people. She was going to kill them all, become a god. And it's got something to do with this ghostly tale, which is something that Phoebe's father's been talking about. So it all seemed rather important, really.
And Polaris, the vision said that I'm now a part of the ghostly tale, or I'm going to be a part of the ghostly tale. And I don't want to kill lots. I mean, I do if it means that people are safe. But I don't particularly want to do that. Kill lots of people and become a god myself. That sounds like a lot of...
Why is it that
pressure.
no to be able to become a god by holding a dog competition or something? It's always
There are dog competitions?
well, you know, like go catch the biggest fish and you get to be a god. Like, why have you got to always bathe the valleys in blood? It's fucking land people. All right, so what am I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. That sounds like pretty confusing information. I mean, so you're getting visions that says you're part of something which in the past was responsible for killing hundreds of thousands of, or whatever, lots of people, right?
I guess. I got told that this is the ghostly tale that I'm a part of. I don't know what any of this means, and I'm sorry I can't be clearer.
So just
Nobody
to...
expects you to know everything, darling. It's fine. We're all trying.
because it also might be useful clarity just because of what Phoebe's going through right now, the ghostly tale that you are now a part of was the wording in the vision.
Thank you, sorry. I try to write everything down as quickly as possible, but...
That's fine. I just, every so often in an episode, I go, Hannah, here's a load of information and symbolism. Now remember and do stuff with it.
Yeah, the ghostly tale I'm now a part of. So something's changed, because I didn't get told that last time I had a bad dream.
Right.
So something's happened. Now I'm part of this ghostly tale.
What was it? Definitely singular you.
Just said you are now a part of. So it could be all of us, but...
Well, it's like you say, none of us do mind going around killing people if it's going to make people safe. And we've just discovered that maybe there's more going on here than we think there is. So maybe, just maybe...
Point of order, I very much do mind.
Right, okay, but you've done it.
Little as possible.
Okay. Now look, I don't like having my chain shanked. We've been talking about this, and sorry, I can't get away with having my chain shanked.
That was a lot, and I did not know what to do with it.
Yeah,
We're gonna let you have
that was so intense.
So angry I'm asleep.
It's now a fantasy ship thing.
Having your chain shanked?
Oh, you can't go to sea without a couple of chain shankers.
Okay.
Through down.
Sure.
I don't like having me create chain shanks this day through Tuesday. Right now, my point is this: I like to know who's shanking my chain.
Phoebe very carefully makes a note of this phrase, and you bet is going to have to ask someone what it means later.
It's that same expression of, this is a fascinating creature. I've never seen anything like this before.
We're going to get to Eyra. We've got a contact the tree wants us to talk to. We're going to have that conversation. We're going to find out where things are, maybe where we should be looking next. But I don't think any of us are going to go into this thing with our eyes shut from now on. You take my meaning.
Quiet.
Keep an eye on what we're being told. Try and figure out why we might be being told. I don't see any other course of action right now. Yeah, Phoebe?
I'll keep telling you what I see, I suppose, but as has been proven, I'm just shit at this, never mind. And goes and sits at the end of the boat. Like,
as you walk past, there is just like a little look because Ilthmedai is still on one of the oars and has had to stop and is just like, I don't know what to do, and this is all
Phoebe
very
takes
awkward.
the other oar. Phoebe takes the other oar and now has like angst to work out.
Ilthmedai starts kind of rowing again, having been very, very silent and tried to stay very, very still in all of this and not draw attention.
You're not shit, Phoebe.
There's a Aware reaches across and just, Aware never got up, did they?
No.
So there's like a look to the captain, and it's just and then turns to Phoebe.
Is that
Phoebe? May I ask a question?
Yeah.
You'll have to forgive me if I'm indelicate. I've never met somebody who has direct channel to a god before.
Okay.
When your father... It is your father?
Yeah.
When your father speaks, is he particularly clear?
Chloe.
When you've had, like, basically the visions you have always been somewhat abstract, disjointed, etc. Things you've had to kind of figure out, or in retrospect you go, oh, that's what that meant. The few times that you've had, like, you've actually been talking to Scala, he is clear. Sometimes it can feel like he's dancing around the subject a little bit and doesn't want to necessarily commit to answers. Sometimes... Can you roll me insight, actually?
Yeah.
in terms of how much of this Phoebe is picked up on?
Yeah, absolutely. My insight. Okay, 22, please.
Often he seems kind of distracted in your conversations with him. Very occasionally, you felt like that's not a genuine sense of distraction, but him just trying to avoid talking about certain things with you.
Okay. In which case, Phoebe says, "Aware. I'm not saying he's a liar, but I'm not saying he's a truther either. You know, like, oh, how was your day? It was a day. Nothing he says isn't. The visions are always shit. Well, everything else is just, you know, you know what I mean."
It doesn't sound like he speaks directly.
No, but then once the vision happens, and then whatever happened in the vision happens in real life, then it's like, oh, of course, that's what that meant.
Well, you'll forgive my saying, but if somebody doesn't speak to me directly and doesn't always seem to tell me all of the truth, and it's only after something's already happened that it makes sense, then I don't think it's my fault if I don't understand.
It's not your job.
How long have you been doing your job?
Phoebe just does not respond to that at all. Because how long has Phoebe been having visions? Since she was very, very small. Yeah. And how long has Phoebe been stuck in that temple? Since she was very, very small. So, but having a real job only happened when she joined the tree for the first time, and this is her first adventure. So there's no way to answer that without either bumming people out or looking incompetent, neither of which she wants to do.
Can I roll an insight on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing that's a complex facial expression.
It is. It's like, it's half the like constipated angst look and half the I'm trying very hard not to cry look.
So it's a 19.
Then you get what you got.
Aware will nod for a second and go, the funny thing is that when I've been training for most of my life, this is the first time it hasn't been for family. So I'm finding that my job changes every day. It's rather difficult to keep track of, if I'm honest.
Right.
You don't have to do this alone, darling. None of us do.
Okay. I'll keep you updated.
Please do. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go try to sleep on something gnomish.
So, it's now just Phoebe and Ilsmedai, and over time the sun starts to rise, and you feel a difference in the warmth of the air. The sky starts to lighten, and the reflection on the water lightens too, and you see that you're approaching Eyra. Some of you may have been here before. I mean, Phoebe's led like a literally cloistered life, having grown up in a temple, and Ilsmedai is not going to be very forthcoming, but the rest of you, as you start to wake up, some of you may be familiar with Eyra, which is a city, not a huge city, but it is carved into the sides of mountains. However, it is beautifully carved. It is not rough hewn at all. It is consisting of beautiful archways, of some bridges that span the length of the city, of kind of beautiful balconies that look out over the fjord of Utheroim. And there is, of course, like a very sizable port where you can dock, but even the port has been carved out of what was once stone there, so you'd be stepping straight onto a stone-hewn jetty rather than, say, floating wooden stacks across the water. And it's also, naturally, because it's carved into mountains, it's a very tall city that almost goes up in different steps and spreads across the side of this vista. And that's what you see as you start to wake up. Ilsmedai is just rowing, and you're just about to start docking if there's anyone wants to check before you are officially in Eyra. Wrath?
Can I... Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
Wrath, then Tender.
Elaine probably wakes up and falls off the seat she's on, and then straightens up and realizes, oh, we're in a town. Okay, are there people around?
There's only a few people around. It's still very early in the morning, and this it's not a fishing city like Odeval, so you don't have fisher people kind of doing early morning rounds. If you want, you can roll perception for how many people are kind of around.
Can I roll stealth to not be seen while I shift?
Yeah, you can roll stealth if you want.
Nice. That is... Yeah. 20, not enough.
Definitely. It's only commoners and such like who are around right now, and no one's noticing as you shift.
Cool. Elaine shifts into Gwendolyn, the rather friendly bard that Wrath tends to turn into when they enter towns. And just, lovely. Okay. Eyra, I've never been here before.
That was actually what I wanted to check as well, whether or not I had been here before.
No.
David, I'm happy for you to kind of choose because you spent a long time adventuring, and it's one of the few kind of cities in Nakara, so I think it's one that it would be perfectly reasonable for you to have been to at some point.
I'm going to say...
Oh, David, you're going to need to repeat that for me because you kind of stalled and then went fast-forwarded.
I'm going to say that Tender has been here before, but not for any length of time. Cool. So this is one of the places where he and Cal probably kind of stopped off, had one night, and then went. Thought it was pretty.
Oh,
always said they'd come back.
It's a beautiful place in terms of culture, in terms of arcana and the making of magical items. It is generally known as one of the more kind of beautiful and pristine cities, but part of that is also thanks to the overzealous guard.
Cool. Yeah. He always remembered that he and Cal were like, we should come back here when we're not busy.
Yeah.
And he's kind of annoyed that he is busy again and back here.
Yeah. Is there anything anyone would like to do? Otherwise, we've agreed that Griff gets to use the I know a person rule because you need to get from the jetty up to Helm View, which you wouldn't automatically know where that is. If no, okay, yeah.
One question: has my ship, the Lichtenberg, ever docked here before?
Probably just once or twice.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Just whether, because Polaris probably checks out docks the first time he does them, but if he's like, yeah, same as before, he's just going to be like, no swear around.
I'm fully prepared that like Polaris might not know every city or every place, but most docks, like at least the dock area of a city, you know pretty well.
I mean, he's got to look for that place to shank his chain.
Yep.
Trust me, that is a note I have made.
Cool. Okay, so Griff, using the I know a person rule, if you could describe some contact that you have in this city, and if you could make a charisma check, and we'll see how fondly they remember you and are ready to help you out.
Alright, let's do the check first.
Okay.
15.
Okay. Could you give us a little description of this person?
I would think that it would be very, very odd, I think, for them to have met me directly. But I think because of my work being the work that it is, we have to have people dotted around so that we have a way of getting in touch and of keeping news relevant.
Yeah.
So Aware kind of would straighten out Callisto's look, because it's got to stick with Callisto. We can't be anybody except for Callisto until we're in a different circumstance. So, and then just turn to the captain and say, I think I might know somebody that could be of help. Would you mind following me?
Oi. Wait.
And just beeline. You know, it's like occasionally there's like a glance one way or the other to try to see, is this where I think it is? But along the waterfront, I'm going to assume there are people whose shops have things to do with the waterfront. So people who shank chains or mend nets.
Yeah, there's the classic chain shankers, limited, and chain shankers incorporated to a notoriously highly competitive. But yes, there's also other ones. There's kind of hole in the wall people who serve fish and such like, and there's also other people where they've kind of done diving for gems and bits and pieces, like a very strange selection of things on the waterfront of Eyra.
I think one of those is going to be a general shop, a kind of get your provisions, your dry goods and your hardtack kind of thing.
Yes.
And as soon as the sign for that is visible, it's a beeline. There's no more looking around. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, it's a place with like a kind of again, like there's very little wood used in construction here. So again, it's a stone carving that just says Tanks General Provisions, really beautifully carved in.
Awesome. And then walk inside, and whoever is standing behind the counter, because I won't know what this person looks like, I'm going to ask them, I'm sorry, you might never get a question like this, but are the summer apples any good here?
Oh, the summer apples, they're not very good, but the winter apples are far better.
Fantastic. And there's just this pattern of like talking about freaking nothing. This is the growing seasons of berries. This is whether or not the nets are any good this year. This is what the weather's been like. And over that starts talking about their cousin, this beautiful young boy called Leaf, and how their cousin is interested in this girl in the town, and you know, I'm just coming to check him out, see how he's going. During this, a full description, a very detailed description of Leaf, the only person to have seen Aware change shape, is given.
Yeah, and it's basically kind of using a changeling form almost of Thieves' Cant.
Yeah.
With user egg. And the individual you're looking at looks like a human woman with a Marcel wave haircut, a kind of very clean, crisp shirt, and a hat that's worn at that angle.
Nice.
Looks a little bit out of place in Tank's General Provisions, but is the only person currently manning the store.
And has she given her name?
But like doing that thing like you do with a postcard turner, where you're kind of actually just looking, kind of just being like, I don't know what's going on, but I do.
Yeah.
He's got Brett's cant. Like he knows this shit happens and exists. So he's like.
Also, Gwen's hanging on your arm because Gwen's always hanging on Polaris's arm. Just sort of, do you think something's going on? This all seems a little
What? What do you think? Just play along.
I am playing along. I'm just fascinated.
Right, just.
Actually, this morning.
I think.
What does shank your chain mean?
Well, I have limited knowledge of. Can I roll?
Is this for knowing or for pretending that you know?
I think this is for knowing.
Okay, so roll a history?
Yeah.
If you've ever heard it before, I guess.
Aboard boats. That's a 23.
The captain seemed really embarrassed about it.
Well, I'm not going to explain the whole ins and outs of it. It's quite a. I mean, you saw Chain Shankers Limited and Chain Shankers Incorporated just outside.
Right, but I didn't see inside.
I know, but you don't want to look inside. Basically, you don't want to go to sea without a chain that's been properly shanked.
Phoebe understands nothing.
But also, it's very important that you shank your own chain and other people don't shank your chain. Because otherwise you don't know it's been properly shanked. A captain will not have anybody else shank their chain.
I love that there's two conversations that are happening in the shop at the same time that are both equally nonsensical.
Tender's a little bit distracted because he saw some like seafood in one of the stalls out there, and he's quite hungry now. And also he remembers having seen that last time, and he didn't get it last time. And he really wants to get it now. But he's kind of waiting for the moment that they go back that way.
Okay,
well, you haven't been clear. Can I go see for myself then?
You want to go and see a chain being shanked?
Well, I don't know what it means.
so whilst you're talking about chain shanking, Aware, you've gleaned from this conversation that this contact's name is Dahlia. And she uses she, her pronouns. And Dahlia has given you the directions up to Helmsview. Helmsview, you now know, is actually a temple that is called Helmsview because of the way that the rock is formed there. It actually almost looks like the helm of a ship that has like almost sailed into the mountain somehow, but it has the look of a ship to it, and it is called Helmsview because it is quite high up in the city but relatively easy to get to. Dahlia does give you some tips on which streets to use in order to avoid overzealous guard, in order to avoid the bridges where they'll toll you, etc, etc. And do you mention the name of the girl that Leaf is interested in and you're trying to see here?
Yeah, so that was Eyra?
No, if it's the person...
Oh no, Narisha.
Narisha, yeah, is your contact. And in response to that, Dahlia, probably out loud, says something like, oh yes, well, with a dame like that, you're going to have to deal with the flim flam and the 2-3 and the 1-2. But what that actually means is... oh, if you're here to see Narisha, people will probably give you quite a bit of leeway because at least anyone who like has positions of power here is quite a fan of Narisha, and she is quite respected, and it has a position of power in Eyra.
So I think once that's been all established, Aware's going to turn around and go, Captain, darling, could you? And gesture for Polaris to come up to the counter. And go, Dahlia, I wanted you to meet someone. This is Captain Polaris and Gwendolyn. Fantastic people, new to the town. Just wanted them to see a happy face.
Oh, wonderful. Aren't you two tall glasses of water?
Was that supposed to be funny?
Oh, don't worry. I think she's trying to shank your chain.
Look, what does that even mean? From behind one of the displays.
Now, is there anything more that I can help any of you fine folks out with? Obviously, we do have general provisions, but if there's anything specific I can help, though obviously I've been chatting to your friend here about everything that they should need to know.
Ollie, and thank you for that. I'm sure it'll come in very handy.
I always aim to be very handy if I can.
Dahlia's general provisions are known.
Why are we having this conversation?
It's nice to be friendly in a new town, darling.
Yes, it is.
Well, last time we were here, we actually went to sea with a barrel of your latest tack, so it proved fairly popular. So, my thanks for that.
Oh, well,
Is that a
you're
code,
most
or do you
welcome.
generally? Is that a code, or was it generally?
Oh, you eat it so you don't starve to death at sea, Gwendolyn.
Oh, right. Well, there you have it.
I'd recommend that you be on your way. Obviously, it's quite early, but some of the guard do like to get an early start on clearing the streets, as they say.
Phoebe's already edging out the door.
When you say clearing the streets, is this, is there something going on?
Well, people are slightly on edge after what happened yesterday, but normally it's just them liking to throw their weight around or somewhat.
Forgive me, what happened yesterday? We've just arrived.
Dahlia looks at Aware in terms of, am I speaking openly? Am I speaking codedly?
I'm sorry, darling. Gwendolyn's a cousin. I wanted to make sure that she had seen as much of the world as possible, and while the captain is utterly charming, he's not exactly up on family business.
Just so that Chloe knows, does that mean that you can speak openly around? No.
Basically, the whole thing is, these are the people that I need you to know I'm with in case shit goes down later on, but I and Gwendolyn are us.
Yeah.
He is not us.
Gotcha.
Cool. So in that case, what you get from Dahlia is just, well, there are some things that a lady doesn't really talk about, and some things that it's always better to see with your own eyes, I find.
I've spent a long time at sea, I know what you're saying.
I haven't. But if we're not getting anything else, then I think we should probably go, shouldn't we?
I am sorry to have trespassed on your time for so long, darling, but you've been an absolute love.
Oh no, lovely to see you, and to meet your friends as well. Always a delight.
Can I get one of these postcards?
Absolutely, you can. You know what? For a friend of a friend, have it for free.
Oh, can I have a magnet?
Let's not trespass on my friend's time anymore, shall we?
I don't need the magnet. But the postcard is low.
Yes.
Thank you.
A lady who gives her postcards away is generous. A lady who gives her magnet away is something else entirely.
You had to shank a chain there.
This is just how Dahlia is going to speak if you stay here.
Give my best to your auntie, and like swans out.
I want to stay so bad.
So,
Stay took infinite shot.
are the rest of you swanning out? The moment that Aware leaves, there is a change in Dahlia's demeanour. As in well, I've dealt with the person that I'm going to speak to.
Oh yeah, I leave.
Yeah.
We've got the
I'm
direct.
taking my
Phoebe is
postcard
out the
now.
door.
I'm on Polaris's arm.
Yeah, you are. You walk back past. If you need to get food, you can from one of the very early rising holes in the wall, as it were. It's incredibly cheap. Like, you will have the money for it. So if you want to eat while you walk, you can.
What have they got?
Mainly what they have is everything comes in a small kind of bowl which has mashed potatoes and greens and different types of fish. You just choose your type of fish.
No jelly deals?
No jelly deals in this setting. It's not Eberron.
Thing.
0 jelly deals in this universe.
Whelks? Any whelks?
There are mussels, if you're looking for something like that.
Oh, that's what Tender wanted last time
Okay.
and didn't get because Calpurnica insisted that they were too busy and they had to leave.
There's a small gnome who's on a little stool to stand on, and she's just kind of there and will serve you.
Do they come in? Is it a bucket or how do they come?
Oh, it's in these little trays, and just holds up like a kind of shallow tray that you can hold as you walk.
Nice. And do I dispose of the shells in the? Do I just drop them? Can I throw them back in the sea?
Oh no, we don't give them to you in the shells.
Wait, the mussels are out of the shells. That's half the fun.
It's also very unhygienic, frankly.
I'm imagining like when I've eaten mussels, and I'm sure I've had them like when you just buy them in a jar, and
Those are whelks.
Those are definitely whelks. Mussels
Those are
come
not
in.
mussels.
Yeah.
Mussels come in the little.
Yeah, they
Mussels
come
come in
in.
their
Did you
shell.
winkles?
Whelks, winkles, same thing. Different.
Cockles?
Cockles?
you get a sense that it's this person's first day on the job, and she doesn't really know what she's talking about, and she's feeling a little bit overwhelmed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And just goes, maybe sorry. Wait, which ones are mussels and which ones are whelks?
The mussels are the ones that are in the. Quite honestly, I'm not sure now. I tell you
Are they
what.
pickled?
Can I have just the little tray of those ones? And he points to the ones that are still in the shell.
Okay. And rustles around. What does everyone else want?
I'll take some of the ones that aren't in their shells.
Can I have one of everything?
I'd like to touch Phoebe on the arm and say, "Psst, let's let Tender carry on looking like an absolute tourist over here. Come over here. You don't want this stuff. You want this."
Phoebe is so down for this.
Well, in which case, I transfer to Tender's arm. This is going to be much more interesting.
You transfer to Tender's arm. You now have these 2 little trays of food. It's only like a few silver, probably like 5 silver each, for these meals. And yes, like a few doors down, Polaris and Phoebe have gone to this place, which...
Is Ilsmide still with us?
Ilsmide is there, but Ilsmide is trying to kind of just make as little fuss as possible, and is figuring that as long as they're here and they've got the heart of beasts, then they're fine. You obviously are all hungry.
2 catch of the day, and I give 1 to Ilsmide. Don't even ask. Just they get it.
Nice.
Thanks. Thank you. And just starts eating. And yes, Polaris and Phoebe go to this other place with this purple frontage, and inside there is probably the reason that not many people come here is because there's still there's a Huanti who serves at the place, who are less frequent in Eyra and in Nakara as a whole, and just kind of takes your order, but it's very brusque. Very brusque, like doesn't do small talk or things like that, and expects you to know exactly what you want by the time that you're at the counter.
I'd like, if there's not a queue as we enter, I'd like to just hold out 2 fingers and go, "Too large." And I'd like this place, if possible, it serves barnacle broth, which is the real.
You just get 2 large trays. They have small cups of barnacle broth, but also some cuts of fish, and again mashed potatoes.
Nice, perfect.
Cool.
Meanwhile, Tender. What kind of sauces?
Sauces. We get the fish from the sea.
No. Like to put on it. Not what are your sauce. I don't really care where it comes from. I'm assuming the sea.
Picking up my whelks with a cocktail stick and just popping them in while watching this conversation.
We have and just like looks at red sauce and brown sauce and white sauce.
Oh, I'll mix the brown and the white.
Beige sauce it is. And mixes those and gives you a little tub.
He tries it with one of them. Kind of like tries to feed it to the mussel to then open and eat. It's bad because you're not supposed to mix the brown and the white sauce, but he's just kind of, oh, that's something, isn't it? Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's got a real umami tang to it.
Yeah.
Phoebe turns to Polaris and goes, do I just dig in then?
Yep. Well, they give you, and I hold up like a chip fork.
I am imagining you all on the Barbican in Plymouth right now. That is where I am picturing every single one of you. And it's about this point where it looks like you're almost on like a little kind of lovely holiday jaunt that Polaris, you hear something in your head.
I'll make sure you pour this over the... Oh.
Hello, Polaris. Presumably, you must be close by now. investigated soul extraction, only lead this recluse mage, Marin Esternal, do with that what you...
Very, very.
Which is, for the benefit of anyone who doesn't know that context, Hearth, their kind of contact at the tree.
Very well. Arrived in Eyra. On our way to Narisha. We'll be in touch. That was Hearth.
Right.
Here, I said that we were. Got a lead. What was the name again? Sorry, Claire. The lead on soul things.
Soul stuff. Marin Elestnal.
Marin Elestnal.
Yes.
The Marin Elestnal. I'm just gonna jot that down.
Yeah. Chris?
That is a name that's come up before, yes?
Yes, it is.
Thought so. Cool.
For any characters who have like decent memory, and also it's been a month for you as people, but as characters it's been like overnight. You have a ring purporting to belong to Marin Elestnal that you found in the
that I'm holding.
In the tomb. Yep. And also you found a piece of paper with a sketch of a person, seemingly a mask figure, but it was a pretty rough sketch, and the message on the back, Marin Elestnal, can they help? And that was something you found at the Barrenlands camp.
Yep.
Seems we're not the only people looking for this one, though. So, right, we should eat up and get moving. Now, like I say, just pour it all over the fish. Really,
Right, yeah.
It really, you don't need any of that gloopy, greasy sauce that he's got over there. You just want to get stuck in with this.
Got it. And Phoebe, like, takes as much of it on the chip fork as possible and jams it in. And it's really good.
Tender finds the nearest like waste disposal bin and throws all the stuff away.
Oh, no! Don't waste it! Don't waste it.
Put on the wrong sauce. I don't think that normally what they were talking about.
You have one of mine. I'll have one of yours. And I try it anyway. And yeah, you should throw those away.
Yeah, I don't think. What fantasy month are we in? Has it got a Y in it?
No.
I genuinely do have a calendar for this setting, but I don't have it up and it'll take me forever to find.
I think it's got a Y in it. They don't taste good.
Well, these whelks are splendid. I think they have been pickled, otherwise they'd be off by now.
Everyone, hi. And Phoebe sort of drives Polaris out and goes, we need to go, I think.
Got a message from Horace. It's telling we got moving. And I beg your pardon, Marin, what's his chops?
Elestnal.
Marin Elestnal. Marin Elestnal, that name mean anything to the rest of us? I've got a ring that seems to belong to them.
Yes.
Yeah, rang some bells for me too. It looks like they know a thing or two about soul separation, or indeed the opposite thereof. So
When I asked to talk to you, did they tell you where Marin Elestnal was?
No, just said they were a recluse and there's maybe something they can help us with.
Well, that's delightfully convenient. We can go talk to this Narisha, then go talk to this Marin.
That all right with you, Elsmedai?
Yeah, that you've made clear you've got important things to do, and as we agreed, I'll go with you.
Well, now we've got a lead, someone who can help.
Splendid.
On our way. And,
Where are we going?
Follow me.
So you wind everyone up through the streets of Eyra, and it is an absolutely beautiful place. You are kind of going through curving, banking streets and then bridges that edge out of the city and just hover over the top of the fjord, and eventually you come to this rather grand temple which has spires. It has roof space, which is obviously quite rare in Eyra because of how much it juts out of the cliff face. And as you come there are some very heavily armoured guards a couple of half-orcs who are by the entrance to this place. It is the most beautiful white stone. You would expect that something hewn out of a mountainside would be darker or be mottled, be a conglomerate, but this actually looks like pure white stone and has the most beautiful arced and curved carvings. It's not kind of very harsh, it's very beautiful and very soft shapes as you come to this entranceway. And the sunlight now is beautifully dappled through the various holes that are left between the carved stone in this temple, and these two massive and very heavily armoured half-orcs stand there. But as you come up to them, there is just a voice going, "No, it's quite fine. I believe they're here for me." And that's where we're going to stop for the break. So we will take 5, maybe 10 minutes, and then we will pick back up. But we will see you very shortly. Bye.
Bye.
And we're back. Hello. So we left it with everyone having reached Eyra. You've now arrived at the Temple of Helmview, and two guards who looked like they might get a little bit assertive have actually just stood down because of a voice that you've heard saying, "I believe they're here for me." And hoving into view is quite a plainly dressed, you can't quite tell from here, either elf or half-elf woman, who has some tribal style tattoos on her forehead in kind of a dark blue, almost woad-like, and wears a very plain floor-length deep grey/brown dress, and yeah, holds herself very, very like proudly and quite statuesque, quite tall, but dressed very simply. And in the middle of this large kind of opening chamber, hosts into view. Yes?
Would Polaris and I recognise her from previous, like, we remember who this person is?
You do have a sense of, oh, yes, I have seen her around somewhat. And indeed, as she kind of comes into view, she clocks the two of you. Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry, I was led to expect only 5 people. And there are obviously 6 of you, including Ilsmedai.
Does that matter?
Not entirely, though obviously as a contact I would expect to know exactly who was here. May I know
No
exactly
worries.
to whom I'm speaking?
Half's aware that we brought an extra person along. We cleared it.
Okay. Well, actually, I hope you don't mind. And she just makes a small movement with her hand, and as she does so, there's a small blue haze around it, and her eyes, it's just like a kind of blue lightning that flows through them briefly, and she casts a gaze over all of you, looks at Tender, looks over Phoebe, looks over Polaris very quickly, pauses slightly longer on Wrath, then looks at Aware, but obviously Aware is currently, well, no, Aware's carrying themselves as Callisto, right? Takes another little pause over Aware, then looks at Ilsmedai and and the electricity goes, her eyes come back as normal. I think I understand. Apologies. I'm sorry?
Is there going to be a problem?
No, I just like to be... I'm going to do your voice. That's... What's their voice? Right. Not... Oh, screw you! I can't do this voice.
Not talk for a bit.
No, right. No. Where's that voice gone? Right, here it is. No problem. I just like to always know exactly who I'm speaking to. Apologies, it's a necessary security measure, if you will.
Aware will reach out to Ilsmedai to take their tray, the food that they've finished, stack it in Aware's if Ilsmedai will give it.
Oh yeah. Ilsmedai, yeah. It's just
we'll
a bit.
stack it in theirs and just hand it off to the guard.
Yeah. And the guard, seeing that from this figure, just goes and takes it and holds it because there's no bins around.
You mentioned security. We heard there was something that happened yesterday.
Yes. Perhaps we should speak somewhere slightly more private. And turns to lead you all off. You're led through a few corridors, again incredibly gleaming, really beautiful, detailed things here. But you also realise that this is another temple or celebration or monument to Atulka, again the god of destruction and isolation and such like, but this seems to be a very different mode of worshipping that same god. Where sometimes it's about just abdication and it is about giving things up, about separating yourselves from other things, about compartmentalizing and interpreting the notions of destruction and isolation in different ways. But you see the birdcage imagery associated with the toolkit around a lot. And you also pass by a space where there are a vastly increased number of guards in what looks like a basically empty room where there is an empty plinth. Probably looks somewhat similar to what you saw back at the Lorinare house when you were first sent to go after missing items. And then Narisha, who you can probably two of you know who she is, you can quite safely assume this is Narisha, leads you off to the left-hand side, and you are on a balcony-style office space where there are some chairs, there's a small table, but it is a balcony that looks out quite gloriously over the fjord. Narisha takes a seat and gestures for each of you to take one too. Do make yourself comfortable.
Well, this is a remarkable view you have here.
Oh, this isn't, I don't normally spend my time here, but given recent events, I was given a place where I could conduct my business.
We've heard a lot about these recent events, except for what they are.
Well, yes, exactly. How many of you have heard of the phrase cloud killer? Feel free to roll history.
It's another 23.
15.
14.
That is a 1.
15.
15. Those of you who rolled 15s, you've something myth type thing, but for some reason Tender rolls incredibly high on that. Maybe it's because you've adventured so much, but you've definitely had more detailed stories of something called Cloud Killer, a magical item which is the aborted phylactery of a lich. Who, as they tried to achieve immortality, they failed in that quest, but that left a magical item which is said to conjure up darkness born of true evil. That is what you are aware of, and everyone else only has a mythical, or in case of Polaris, zero clue.
I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of this thing, no?
The Tender doesn't often get the chance to be knowledgeable about things, so when Cloud Killer is mentioned, you always go, "Oh yes, the failed phylactery of a lich."
Quite so.
Oh.
Are you an aficionado of magical and arcane history?
Do you know what? Just today, my history appears to be just flooding back to me. Old memories, I suppose.
Must be something to do with the Uthroi mare.
I honestly thought you said Uthroi mare. I thought you were talking about a horse, so I think Tender only rightly needs to roll history check on whether or not the Uthroi mare is a thing.
Roll perception on whether you hear it correctly.
That is a 14.
You have a moment of meh, and then you're like, oh no, it's just someone with a slightly iffy accent saying Uthroi mare.
That's just my bad hearing. I think they yes, the Uthroi mare. The Uthroi air is good for you, So I had some bad sauce.
Wait, so was it here and is it gone? Is that what we're supposed to be getting?
Very sharp, yes. It does appear that in the last 24 hours it was taken from here. Obviously not an entire shock, given that various magical items have been taken from their places of protection.
Well, that is sort of the reason why we're here.
Well, yes. I was told you were bringing an item to be returned to the care of the tree. I assume, because Ilsamadai is just sat there carrying the egg, that is it?
May I ask, if we're to be collecting items for the tree, why it is that the tree does not seem to be able to hold on to its items?
The person that we're dealing with, how much do you know, or how much have you been told about the Astherno Circle?
A fair bit, actually.
Bit of history, bit of something more recent.
And how much have you heard about Celeste Zanithes?
Who now?
Celeste
Zanithes.
Have we heard of Celeste?
Yeah, we've got the name Celeste in. Oh.
Seen the name Celeste. We know someone who was looking for them.
Interesting. Obviously, Celeste isn't a unique name. Do you know that it's definitely that one?
Should be told, we probably don't. But if they're involved with this circle and the people trying to do it, it's a bit of a coincidence, no?
Would that name be familiar to any of us, Chloe?
Because of the previous roles that you've made about the Astherno Circle, the name would only be familiar to any of you if you had rolled higher than that.
Cool.
Aware might have, whilst looking for Ghostly Tale, briefly seen that surname, but because there wasn't any further investigations into that, you wouldn't have received any more information about this person.
Well, you seem to have us at an advantage, so if this is important to what we're trying to achieve, then do let us know if you can fill it in.
I presume that Hearth has told you that I played something of a role the first time that this monument was attempted, yes?
Correct.
It was myself and two dear friends who were able to prevent the final element of the circle being built, and therefore whatever plan Celeste had for it being finished. Unfortunately, it was complicated something by the fact that one of those allies was indeed Celeste's sibling, making the tension and the conflict with her all the more difficult. However, Celeste has apparently been spotted. I've heard reports of sightings of her, which is something that is of great concern, given that after we stopped the circle the first time, in an attempt to obviously stop her from continuing with any such plans, she was imprisoned on Wivenor. Not sure if you're aware of it. It's a rather secure prison on an island, very difficult to get to, very difficult to leave. That is where Celeste died. A few hundred years ago, in fact. And so the fact that she apparently is now back and attempting to finish the circle again, I'm sure you can now understand that we seem to be dealing with someone of considerable power, some kind of considerable ability, and so I am not entirely surprised that she is able to use whatever wiles or means she has in order to find these items and take them for her own gain.
Yes, but in bringing these items back to you, we have to have some kind of assurance that you're able to actually keep them. What are you doing against her wiles?
Well, to be honest, it is simply my involvement, my being commanded to help with this, that I believe Hearth thinks will protect things. I wasn't personally watching over Cloud Killer when it was taken, nor was I in position at the Lorinare house or such. We didn't have any reason to think that Celeste would be coming back. We thought we were merely protecting the items from more rough criminals, shall we say. However, myself and hopefully Adon, Celeste's brother, we have now been tasked with making sure that these things are directly protected 24/7. And that is how we hope to protect them from her, through much more severe surveillance and also outreaching to any mages and such like who may be able to help us in this.
Speaking of mages, it's been suggested that we should try and contact one Maron Elez now.
For what purpose?
Oh, well, this particular item is probably going to need to be it is the egg of our dear, well, it is the sibling of our friend here, and well, hopefully there's some sort of soul extraction that can happen.
Soul. Sorry, I was not fully briefed on souls needing to be extracted from things. I was merely told that we were to protect it.
It's something that we have assured our friend here that we are happy to explore doing.
Right. Do you consider yourselves fully apt and able to protect it for the length of time that you'd need to hold on to it to...
Well, no offence. We're clearly doing a decent job holding on to, finding and protecting these things on our own. So yeah, I think we'll be alright with it for the next wee while.
We do have a couple of other ones that we've picked up from the Lorinare house and things like that.
Understood. I was not meaning to challenge your talents or your ability. I'm sure you understand that I'm somewhat on edge and very keen to make sure that we are sharply aware of where any of these objects are at any one point.
Speaking of which, this cloud killer was taken yesterday?
Yes. Late yesterday evening, as far as I'm aware. Though, obviously, I was not here at the time. I was merely alerted once it was realised it was gone. We don't know currently where Celeste is. We are doing our best to find out. We don't think she currently has access to much in the way of teleportation, which is the one thing that we at least have over her. We can move with at least as much speed as she can.
Well, she's got a good head start on you.
True, but we are optimistic. We have multiple people all over the country and she is but one person.
I think she's got quite a few people that work with her, considering the number of people we've worked with thus far.
What's that saying about... She is the head of the organism, as it were. I am not so much concerned about those that she has managed to place in her thrall as making sure that she is found. Without her, I believe the entire enterprise falls apart.
You don't know where she is, or you have no idea of her whereabouts at the moment?
I don't currently know myself, no. You said you had some information about, or you had found someone looking for her.
Well, I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn, but we have something that belongs to her.
Oi, it seems that some of her friends, acolytes, worshippers, whatever you like, were trying to scry on her, among other people. But we have an object of hers.
Would you be able to use that to scry on her, maybe find a location?
Yes. It would be a huge boon to us, obviously a critical mistake that she has made in leaving something of hers that can be found anywhere.
Or a trap.
Aye.
True. I have no doubt from my experience of her that she would not be above such malicious and dastardly thought.
But where's Mara and Aless now?
Well, from my awareness, Maron is a relative recluse who does not normally accept visitors.
So he's in one place for a long time, that's good.
We also have an item of his we could potentially scry on him as well.
Oh, indeed, you do seem highly capable individuals. You are obviously an asset to the tree.
Yeah, unfortunately we don't know how to scry, so
That is quite alright. I am sure there are mages of the temple who are able to do such things.
Right, well, thank you for that. We'll go find a mage at the temple. We'll go speak to Mara and Aless now. We'll try and get your sibling out the egg. And just...
I can't... Feed. I feel like maybe that that Celeste is higher on the list. Not that I don't want to get the dragon out, but we've got time pressure on us with Celeste.
Tandra's right.
Further and further away, that this dragon ain't going nowhere.
What we
It
promised.
seems like as soon as we can find someone that can scry, we'll have 2 questions answered.
Exactly. We're not breaking a promise, Phoebe. We're just doing our jobs first.
What does Celeste look like?
Celeste, well, she is, provided that she's not using any magical means to disguise herself or such like. Long brown hair. She's an elf. Rather feminine typically as I remember her. Everything else would be but clothing. Pale skin, blue eyes.
Could you have the means to represent her?
I don't know if I have that currently on myself. Sorry, this is me just seeing if there is... Can conjure up a major image. So again, that kind of blue energy sparks throughout her hands, and then just sat in another seat is the image of Celeste. Again, basically a very poised, quite regal looking elven woman, long brown hair worn loosely, very piercing blue eyes, pale skin, a few kind of marks and scars, and basically just like the nicks of someone who has been in adventures or has been in combat on her arms, but she is wearing what looked like a series of bindings around her body, and then just layers and layers and layers of fabric from her waist in quite a wide skirt. That would be the best representation I can manage.
Can you make it talk?
Does Major Image...
I believe so.
Major Image can talk? I suppose so. Apologies if my imagination leaves something to be desired, and moves her hands again. And you just see this image go, hello. Obviously my name is Celeste. Typically slightly uppercut. I mean, this is the best that I can remember.
I'd like to change into Celeste just as a test, see if I can do it.
Okay.
The outfit will obviously be different because can't change clothes, but bless you. Making the just trying to recreate in my clothes and then try the voice as well. How am I doing? Is this all right?
Rather unnerving, I must say.
It might come in handy, and also means recognizing her should be much easier than if we just bump into her on the street, for example.
Fair point. Well, it seems that scrying is the most urgent point, and then we can decide exactly what is to happen with the item that you currently have and such.
I will shift back into Gwendolyn. There we go.
Oh, bye. And Phoebe heads back into the temple, expecting everyone to follow.
Does everyone just follow Phoebe? I quite like the idea that you're just trying to be as confident as you can.
There were some other names. Where we found these two items, there were two other names alongside Maron's and Celeste's. Someone called Mia and someone called Hope. They mean anything to you?
I cannot think of what they mean. They do not bring such memories to mind as the name Celeste does, if that's what you mean.
Just checking. Good to know all the pieces, as they say.
True. And looks at Polaris. Sorry, did you have something to say?
No. Nothing beyond thanks for the help.
You're most welcome. All I want to see is that everything is safe, sound, and in its right order.
We'll settle for the world being in one piece.
I think that might be the first time that I've been considered a wild optimist. And also stands, because it's going to come with you. It's going to come with you for this scrying. Is it other people kind of following along?
Yeah.
Can I fall behind slightly, so I'm behind everyone walking ahead, and very surreptitiously cast Detect Magic, please?
Sure. There's probably an awkward moment where Ilsmadai is just assuming that they need to follow everyone and isn't sure, is kind of waiting for you to go first.
Oh,
Aware will stand and like put a hand on Ilsmedai's chair as if, were we at a table, I would be pulling it back so that they could stand. But it's very much a shepherding kind of, here we go.
Sure. Okay. Thanks. And so you are being led through just a couple of corridors. It's not very far away to go to where there are some followers of Atulka. But Rathar casts Detect Magic. Is there anything...
Surreptitiously, I'm looking at her. Just there's been a couple of like checking over changelings that has made me start to wonder. What's going on?
What is going on here? Sorry, I'm just checking the exact details of what Detect Magic gets. It's just the aura of magic, right?
Different schools of magic, if there are some, would see through illusions immediately. In the case of changelings, they are technically illusions, so we'll be able to see if someone was a changeling masquerading as someone else. Okay.
Basically, when you look, you initially first see that there is a rather strong magical aura around Narisha. That there is, she's clearly a mage of some capacity. And then that kind of, the blue aura that accompanies that does fade through, and you see that Narisha is a changeling under this. You have that information. Is there anything you would like to do with that currently?
Where's Aware right now?
A bit further ahead with Ilsmedai.
Is there a way, as part of walking into this other room, that I can give a very obvious like sort of eyes over to the side, like just like a leaning awkwardly, like that without actually doing it?
I mean, you can roll for doing that if you want to do it subtly. I'd say
skill would you like?
I would like you to roll stealth. Griff, what's Aware's passive?
10.
So if my stealth is higher than that, then Aware doesn't see it?
No, I'm just checking in order to judge of like how much are you going to have to do to make sure Aware notices versus alerting everyone else to the fact you're doing stuff.
That is 21.
I'm gonna say with the stealth roll that good, what you are able to do is time it and position it perfectly so others aren't noticing this, but Griff, Aware would see this out of the corner of their eye.
Okay. And as we enter whatever room we enter and whatever happens in that room happens, it's fine. I'm going to sort of be hanging a good, like, slight little bit back. Hopefully Aware will join me, but we'll come to that.
Cool. Everyone is leading into this room. Kind of, Narisha has sidled up to Phoebe, because obviously Phoebe left first, but Phoebe doesn't know where she's going. So Narisha sidles up and walks alongside, and leads you through into this other chamber where the stone is carved and cut so that shafts of light obviously come through at what are very specifically crafted angles. And there is one person who you can see is wearing a rather large emblem of Atulka round their neck, long purple robes. It's a Goliath actually, who looks quite large in the bounds of this place, but it is obviously built to accommodate them. And they have very kind of bright orange braided hair on top of their head. And you walk in, but they are kind of very quietly dealing with various bits and pieces of magical items and potions and such like that they have arranged on a seemingly specially made table.
So as we're coming through into the space, and I clock this, then there's a gentle gesture forward to Ilsmedai of go on, I'll catch up, and Callisto kind of floats back to where
Gwendolyn. At the
still
moment.
Gwen, isn't it?
Yeah, still Gwen.
Yep.
Yeah. To
Cool.
where Gwen is standing.
Elsmede follows on into the room with everyone else. Let's do kind of Wrath and Aware before we go into what happens in that room.
Sorry, darling.
Do you remember our cousin who we encountered? My cousin who we encountered in the earlier today.
Yes, dear, lovely woman.
Do we have any more family in the city?
Family all over the world. It's a big family.
Do we have any more family in this room?
There's a long pause. Are you telling me, dear? I haven't been to all the reunions.
I was surprised to discover that family might be closer than we originally thought.
And rather more tattooed?
Yes. Not something Mother would approve of, I'm sure.
She was fairly conservative. Did we know that?
You wouldn't have.
How familiar, how common would it be to have changelings out in the world? Like, I know changelings leave my people
Yeah.
occasionally and don't come back, and that's fine. Like, they go Rumspringa and don't return.
Yeah, that's my parents, yep.
But how common is it to just have a changeling shopkeeper? Like, that kind of thing.
It's not that common. The vast majority of changelings in Nakara are still part of your kind of clan, your tribe. It's not something where it's immediately... It's not so rare that it's every single instance of a changeling is a reason for suspicion. However, it is unusual. It is atypical.
It would be odd for me not to know that a major mage was a changeling.
Surely it would have been mentioned if Narisha was a changeling.
It would be odd for Dahlia, not to mention if Dahlia had known, so you can presume that Dahlia didn't know. With Hearth, you can't know whether that's... Hearth doesn't know that Narisha's a changeling, or that Hearth was using 24 sentence words and only gave you Narisha's name, didn't even give a race for Narisha in those messages.
Right.
Didn't say that they weren't a changeling. In other words.
Yeah.
No.
Is there anything... Oh, sorry.
I can always ask her about the summer's crops.
Would give the game away somewhat if there was something secretive going on.
Ah, but it wouldn't if you asked.
I don't really know all of the ins and outs of the summer crop.
Just ask. I'll listen.
Sorry, I don't know what I'm supposed to be asking.
Look, it's fairly clear that when we are out and about and we don't wear pink glasses, we can't really speak to each other. Yes? I know that, and you know that, and soon we'll find out whether or not they know that.
Abby, is that what we want to find out, or do we want to find out if this person's simply masquerade is a member of the family who may not be everything they are purporting to be?
Well, that's precisely my point. Just as you didn't grow up knowing how to speak about the crops, did they?
Just so you know, whilst you're having this conversation, this individual is in a room with other people doing you don't know what yet. Yes, Phoebe? Sorry, Hannah.
Yeah, I would hope with my passive perception I could clock that they're having that and attempt to distract. Is that like a viable thing?
I think
is the stealth roll so high that I don't even need to worry about that?
Well, the stealth roll was for the thing at the start, and I think it's you can't help but notice that they're not in the room with you, or that they're kind of very hovering around the edge of the door. It would depend on insight as to whether this was something you needed to distract someone from.
Okay, I'm gonna roll insight then. Uh-oh. 16.
Cool. As you clock this, you've been in there for a little bit whilst Narisha is talking to this Goliath, and this Goliath, oddly enough, is called Cloud Keeper, and was part of the forces who patrolled the temple and helped keep things like Cloud Killer under guard. They're having a little conversation, and after they've had a small conversation, it's not they're not keeping it secret, the two of them. It's just going, I believe that you have abilities for scrying, we have some things, blah blah blah, talking about the details of how it would work. But then Narisha turns around and goes, right, so we'll be needing the items then. Who possesses them? And just kind of glances around the room, and this is about the time that you know you need to distract if you want to.
Yeah. Polaris has the items, but just before we get started, I've always been really interested in scrying, actually, because I love just finding out more about truth and being able to see things. And what if someone moves? Does that mean, do we see them as they're moving, or do we just get a general sense of where they were, or just Phoebe is attempting to just stall for time?
Any idea what Phoebe's doing or why? I think Polaris is just going to assume Phoebe's just excited about scrying. So it's like, yeah. Oh wait, here's the ring. Just kind of walks past Phoebe and pulls out the ring. This was labelled, at least, to belong to Celeste.
The ring's Maron's, the bracelet Celeste.
Then I do that.
Oh well, obviously if individuals move, then it's registered. You know where they are for 10 minutes. You can also sometimes, you've seen, you hear them. But we would at least know to a degree exactly where they are, and then can move swiftly from there.
Can you scry multiple times the same item, or is it like a one use per item thing? Or
Narisha looks at Cloudkeeper. Oh, I can do it multiple times.
Did we did mention that this is on a bit of a time schedule, right, Phoebes?
Oh, sorry. I had not got that sense from any of you at all. Oh,
yeah,
so
no,
I can.
know. You wouldn't
do
think
that.
Actually, we're on the trail of somebody who was getting further away by the second.
Right, but we've got teleportation, Fender, so it's okay.
Oh, I didn't know that you could teleport.
Yeah, we can't just teleport to anywhere. There's got to be circles, and I don't think she's got one.
Is right. If you wouldn't mind getting cracking.
Cloudkeeper takes are you giving the bracelet with Celeste? That Celeste owned. And it's just going to take 10 minutes, but you see Cloudkeeper basically placing the bracelet on the table, and whilst certain magical auras seem to appear, they're also kind of placing different objects in relation to that, and then taking this potion and pouring it in a circle around it, and it's some form of balancing the forces and the energies on this table to make this work. Chris?
While this is happening, because it's 10 minutes, I'm going to sidle over to Narisha and just absent-mindedly almost go, so, how are the summer crops doing?
Are you trying to make this look casual?
Yeah.
Okay, can you roll me performance on that? And also,
sure, that's one of the things I'm good at.
Regarding the whole summer crops thing, so Griff, because we hadn't previously established the precise nature of it, is this basically something that everyone who comes from the tribe, has this been in place for a long time as just the tribe's code word when you go out into the world?
Yeah, basically, if you're with the people who are supposed to be representing my people out in the world, then there is this equivalent of Thieves' Cant where, I'm telling you that I'm one of us, you need to talk to me about our business now.
And it's like a long established tradition, because your people have a lot that's baked into tradition, right?
Well, it's part of the training. If they're one of the people that still represents the interests of the tribe, then they would have received this training before they went out. If, however, they're like Wrath's people and went off and separate, they would have no training like this.
Cool. What was your performance?
Well, it's performance for me, so it's a 24.
Cool. It looks like you've done this incredibly casually. So were you asking about the crops?
What I very generically said was, so summer crops, how they doing? How was the cropping over the? just trying to find some way of bringing that in.
Yeah. I can't speak for all crops, but I mean, my favourite tends to be the winter apples. And that, as much as Chloe can at least remember, is reflective of the comment of winter apples from Dahlia at the beginning.
Yeah.
I just sort of go, oh.
At that,
I sort of look awkwardly back at Ware with a kind of, I don't know what this means!
Okay, so the look on Callisto's face is going to be carved in stone. And what it's going to say is, what the actual fuck? Because Aware didn't think that there was anybody else on this job. Didn't know that there was anybody else, and is very, very, very unhappy to have only found this out now.
Has I mean, I don't know, so I think we're going to have some of this conversation and see what happens, because I have no idea if that's a trigger phrase back that I don't know how to follow up from this conversation, but I have seen Aware have this conversation, and of course I was here when we did it, so I can probably try and recreate some of the nonsense. And I don't know.
I think at that, Aware is now going to like not beeline, but like suddenly be very present next to you.
Great, please take over.
and go, that's fascinating. I wasn't aware that the fruit grew around these parts that well.
Just to reiterate, everyone else is in the room. You can all see this. You can all hear this. Because it's very much, obviously, Feel free to roll insight if you want to have any sense of like why this conversation's happening. But this is as Cloudkeeper is still doing scrying, but will shortly finish. Just trying to think of it's having to translate it into the code.
Within the context, it's I didn't know we had somebody stationed at your level. I didn't know you were here.
Cool. What was exactly what you said? You didn't know that the fruit grew here?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, if there was very high quality fruit anywhere, you'd want to keep it to yourself, wouldn't you?
No, I was under the impression that we all shared alike.
Well, sometimes we have to be very careful about who we share with. We don't exactly know what the best route might be. David.
I got a 15 insight. What's going on?
They're definitely talking in a form of code. They're definitely not talking about fruit. Aware is definitely oddly... You can't tell if it's like suspicion, or if it's anger, or if it's frustration, or if it's blame, but there's like something there.
Yeah, I think Tender's going to keep it to himself for the time being.
Yeah.
But...
Whereas Narisha looks just like kind of zen. Just very calm about it.
I very subtly, you can't see my hand right now, but I very subtly sort of do and point at Narisha and whisper, so it is under my breath so one can hear it. Sorry, we just didn't know there was another changeling here.
Narisha can't, like, can Narisha respond to that in that manner?
I believe you can reply to this message. Yeah, of course you can write a message, yeah.
Cool. Narisha looks at you and then because Aware's not gonna like it if she does it like that.
Because Aware won't hear it.
I don't know what's going on.
No, as in Aware won't like it if Narisha just announces it out loud.
I see.
In a show of I don't really give a fuck.
You can reply to message. Message is a literal, I can keep casting it to keep having a conversation effectively.
Yes. Cool. You get a message back.
Right.
Which is, well, I'd happily be open about it. I don't think our friend here would be very happy.
No, I've noticed that. I've never really seen a need for secrecy too much, apart from, in the confines of working for the tree, but are you part of their changeling cohort? Do you also hide?
What you get back is, I do hide. Yes.
Right. Right. Oh.
She's in a house. You just hear from Cloudkeeper quite loudly, like rubbing their hands together and having paid no mind to what's been going on around them.
What kind of house?
Be on a ship.
Wait, what? House on a ship, did you say?
Really hoping she'd be on a ship.
Oh, sorry. No, I can see it's a nice, it's north of here, Ishadama Forest. It's that little house, it's the small what do they call them, estates? Small abandoned estate. She's inside there. That's what I'm getting anyway.
And that's Celeste, right?
Yeah, it's about 2 hours ride north of the city.
The question now will be, do we go now or do we wait for this kind fella to scry on the next chat lady thing?
Oh, not a fella, just a person.
Nah. This
Wait.
kind person here.
But wait, does she look like she's packing, or does she look settled in?
Oh, I'd
Sorry,
say...
when you said packing like she's got loads of guns. I don't know why my head did.
Yeah,
She
I
looks like
genuinely
she's
thought that
either
too.
got loads of guns, has given herself a cock's up, or like what? She look like she's getting ready to leave.
I mean, Chloe, the important question is she shanking any chains?
Not shanking any chains. Make of that what you will. Cloudkeeper just goes, looks settled, just kind of thought. Looks like she's thinking.
Then we might have time on our hands.
Should we have a look for this Maron as well? And
Might be on the way or the way back.
And if
Precisely.
they're a recluse and stay in the same place all the time, we can make a beeline for our scary Celeste person, and then go and find Maron after.
Oh, are we doing a die scry? That's what I call it when you scry twice.
You could have had Scryce.
If there's a third person, then yep.
Yeah, we're going for the full die scry.
Amazing. Cast
Thank you,
prestidigitation in a way that immediately, like, it's almost seeing time go in reverse and cleans up all the things that were poured over the table and tipped out of jars and things like that, and just back ready. Oh, I'll need a thing.
Oh, oi. Here you go.
Thanks very much. You in charge of just all the things then? Talking
Yeah,
to
in charge of everything.
everything.
I point at Aware and go, right, we've had a bit of a chat like this, just because that way it's kept secret. Much like yourself, would I still use she, her for near whatever.
It's hard for you
Narisha.
to know, but in this case, yes.
Thank
Do
you.
keep using she, her pronouns for Narisha.
Cheers. She is apparently more like you than like me, and also likes to keep things private, I think, like yourself. So, just not a member of the tribe, I suppose. That answers that question. You can reply.
What it doesn't answer is why she's here and I didn't know it.
Right. What do we do about that?
In the exact same way, Aware has message, and so just directly asks, like, just drops.
We're all just pointing at each other.
It looks like finger guns are happening.
Yeah.
Just, why didn't I know you were here? And there's no, like, the whole affect of Callisto is nowhere in this message. Why didn't I know you were here? Why didn't the tree tell me you were here? Do the tree know who you are?
You didn't know I was here. because it's been a long time since I've been in contact with the tribe. The tree know who I am.
Are you why they know who I am?
Unless they've somehow gained information from me without me willingly giving it to them, no.
Can I roll insight on a message?
Yeah, sure. I will absolutely allow that.
8.
Rip.
You get kind of whatever you get with that.
Yeah, sure, plausible, whatever.
Yeah.
Just stops, just
Yeah.
cuts off entirely. Like, it's just having none of it anymore. If it were possible to sulk without moving.
It is.
Totally not.
Point.
Yeah.
Pointed to where? All good?
There's no response.
Pointed at her? All good?
I'm pointing at Narisha.
Sorry, the name's eluding me. Yeah, pointing at Narisha. All good?
Well, in the immediate present, I suppose. In the wider situation, no, obviously.
Oh, I meant about all of this, sorry. The whole changing thing.
All good.
Good. Sorry for intruding. Just wanted to check.
So in the 20 minutes that
Yeah.
this pointing has been happening, I
So much pointing, and also a mage who is a Goliath mage who is scrying and who is increasingly looking a bit like Tom Cruise in Cocktail because they're starting to really show off.
yeah. All right, I was gonna say I was having a conversation, but I'm watching this Goliath.
Okay, cool. How obviously I'm just gonna roll. Cloudkeeper kind of like out of the corner of their eye sees that you're watching and starts trying to be even more fancy and is slightly enjoying it.
If he does anything really good, it's nice, nice.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of like very cool flips and bits and bobs.
Yeah.
And eventually kind of is there anything anyone else wants to do whilst they're scrying in quite a flamboyant way? Otherwise we'll go to the result.
No, come on.
Okay.
I guess I have a question. Polaris, did you take the bracelet back?
I would have done.
Cool.
Yep.
Not to take us on another path, but I would have at some point during this 20 minutes have just done a quick pop into the diary
Oh shit, okay.
with Eyra. Just a quick. I know.
That's alright. What do you ask Eyla?
Eyra would have just quickly. Sorry.
Hi!
Hi, Eyra. Just as you know, as we discussed, occasionally I might need a little memory jog, because obviously,
Yeah.
and we've laid it very clear down on the line. You think I'm someone, and
Well, I know
therefore
you're
I must
someone.
be. You know I'm someone, so therefore I.
Oh,
we lost
you're gonna
that
have to
again.
repeat that for me, David.
You think I'm someone, therefore I am someone, and I am not lying to you.
Oh yes, you were very yeah.
Just basically, whenever I speak to a cursed artifact, I like to make sure that I'm very much down the line on that.
I'm not
now.
cursed.
No, sorry, of course you're not. You're just different. Now,
You didn't used to be like this.
no, I know I didn't, but now I'm this. So get used to it, all right?
Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to be brisk, but I'm just. People are pointing at each other and speaking in code. And,
I love speaking in code.
oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, I don't. So.
Oh my god. David.
Was there something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I'll just. We talked about maybe having a bit of a memory jog every now and again.
Yeah.
About things that maybe I've written about in the past.
Well, things you told me, yeah.
Things I've told you, yeah. Did I mention a Celeste Xanathar?
Just so you know, I don't know if that's a deliberate thing by David. That's not the surname.
Is it not?
No, it's the name of a very famous beholder.
Oh,
As it
there we go.
happens.
Yeah.
Xanathase.
Xanathase.
Xanathase. Not mention of Celeste Xanathase. In fact, he probably does get it wrong.
I don't. So wait. So this isn't in code. This isn't code.
No, but if you want me to say it in code, id die Everty Meditazione.
This is just Polari.
I thought you were doing pig Latin, but that's not what this is.
Estile Sesti Zanatranti. It's not really a code, it's more just like a language I've made up.
Okay. Noeste.
Oh, Noeste.
Uisti. Neverimne. Didri. That is day. Did I do it right?
Yes, a bit. The rinkety boop.
What the hell is
It's code.
You in the last 5 minutes doing semaphore.
Rinkety boop. And then it signs off.
Great. Strong, solid save in the world content. It's at this point that Clownkeeper slams their hands to it. Right. Wait a minute. This is whose ring is this?
Maron Oesnels.
And the other thing is some Celeste persons, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's this. I don't think it's the same house.
Yeah, shite.
2 hours north. 2 hours north. Same rough area. I mean, I can't see either. I didn't see either of them when I saw one of them. So, anything else you want to know that I can look for?
Honestly, Clownkeeper, that's probably the first bit of good news we've had in a while.
What?
2 things we want are in the same general direction.
Where is he? What is he doing?
Walking around, magic or something. Books, lots of potions, making something.
Right.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. And then does like a final flourish of tidying everything up.
This guy's a pro.
They give you Polaris the ring back. Yes.
Many thanks.
To Cloudkeeper, when you saw Celeste, did she look like and turn into Celeste? This?
Yeah, that's her.
Grand. Back into Gwen. Well then, there we go. It's definitely the right person, and she's not disguising herself, so that's good news.
So, anyone want to go for the try-scry?
Oh, yeah. It's tempting, though, isn't it? Because the Tri-Scry sounds even better. And you do such a good job, CK.
Celeste, sorry, not Celeste, too many names. Narisha, at this point, goes, well, perhaps since we've actually got the information that's needed and time is rather of the essence.
Yeah, all right.
And just like nodding to the door.
Oi! Let's get the wind in our sails.
Right.
Presumably we're walking.
Let's get windy.
Oh no, we have steeds. I can provide you with a means to get there a little quicker. I apologise that I'm not aware of any circle there. There's no means of teleportation I can offer, but if you follow me, and then looking to Polaris, because Polaris is apparently de facto. So am I to understand you'll be travelling with this, pointing to Ilsmedai, individual and taking the item with you?
I see what you're saying.
This is rather... It's taken this item, if that information is correct, directly to her.
Go ahead, Kat.
Feels like... And I glance at the Osmodai. Well, it seems that we trust you. You've done nothing to go back on our trust at this juncture.
Yeah. Trying.
Oi. But she has a point, no? Bringing you and it straight to the bad uns who want to get their hands on it, not a good idea. Maybe wiser to go deal with what's ahead, bring back this Marin person all the way to you, safe here under the protection of these fine people. I'm sure that can be arranged. And then maybe we see what we can do about that egg.
So I wait here?
I mean, you'd be safer and so would your sibling.
Suppose.
And so would most of the people in the world.
Well, yeah, if everything that you say about all of this is true, means you all have to make sure you stay safe, you know, to bring him back if he can help.
We all get ourselves killed. I think you'll have bigger things to worry about, but you're fairly capable, and I'm sure you can go 2 hours north if you really want to, and you never hear from us again.
Yeah, fair. I and kind of looks to Narisha. I don't have anywhere to stay here. I don't really know this place. That's all right. I'm sure we can find somewhere for you, and indeed means that's under our protection. Gesturing towards the egg.
Aye, and even if your security isn't up to scratch, not having a go or anything, it's got its own personal protector who I don't think is going to let it out of their grasp.
Precisely.
Okay, well, stay safe. And Phoebe sort of attempts to pat Osmondai on the shoulder as a sort of... Yeah.
Thanks.
Let's go.
Aye, show us your steeds.
Narisha, like, Elsmadai still walks with you because they've got nowhere else to go currently, but is more aligned with where Narisha is now. Narisha takes you out of the front of Helmsview and goes, right, well, if you just wait round this side, they'll just be down. If you just go in by the winch and you go round the corner, and because this is a vertical city and the horses for Helmsview are kept on the roof of Helmsview, as it is the only free place to roam, there is a horse winch where a few steeds, some riding horses, are let down very slowly by another one of these, the half-orc guards who are around here.
It's funnier that they're coming down.
Slowly winching down these horses. For anyone at home who doesn't get that, episode 2, there's a load of nonsense about horse winches.
There's a lot of foreshadowing now about
very important planning. Yeah.
Is it foreshadowing if it's just something someone makes up and then the DM makes sure it gets referenced?
I don't know. Ask us in 2 more episodes when we find out how to shake a chain.
So there are 5 because they don't know that necessarily that anyone's going to want to ride together or use any abilities. So 5 riding horses are lowered down onto the street.
Do you have a cart or something similar?
Exactly what would you need to carry in the cart?
Well, I don't particularly like riding.
Oh, I'm afraid we don't have anything like that. I'm sure
Well,
you can handle riding if the fate of everything depends on it. No?
Yes. And Gwen will shift into... the the dwarf into coma again. And just
Grumpy dwarf.
yeah, right. Get on with it. And just swings onto a horse. It's just no question, no debate. Off we go.
Yeah, I think Aware swings up into a saddle quite elegantly and looks at Narisha and says only, "Do give my best to your auntie."
Understood. Just like straight back at you, unflinching. Is everyone else mounting?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. These are trained horses, they're trained steeds, so you're going to be fine in terms of controlling them and riding them.
Good, because I can't ride.
When they're out of earshot of everyone, Tender's just going to kind of like go next to Aware and just ask them, like, can you just be a horse?
Probably manage a mule.
No, a little too slow for our needs, I suppose.
Yeah, I could never get the years right.
Understandable.
Are we riding out of town?
So yeah, basically Narisha says, tells you the best street, the best route to go north and to exit the town from the north, the city even, and stands there watching you go with Ilsmedai holding the Heart of Beasts stood next to her, and they watch you as you start to kind of canter and then steadily gallop, leaving Eyra in your wake.
Don't mix the brown and the white sauces. They don't mix.
Okay.
As we ride off, there's going to be a point at Ilsmedai, and if they can receive message, because I don't know how magic would work with an adolescent dragon in that respect.
Yeah. I'm happy for you to message them.
Then it would be, don't let it out of your sight, and don't trust them.
The message you just get back is, yeah, I know.
That was some Tender style. Be carefuling.
No, it would have been a lot more. Be careful, just in general.
Phoebe rides up towards Aware and goes, well, when we get out of sight, if you want to slip into something more comfortable, you don't have to stay as Callisto anymore if you don't want.
Oh God, that's a good point. And we're going to Celeste.
Mule.
Mule riding the horse. Mule riding the horse. Awful steed. We're on the way to Celeste first.
You know that they're both in comparatively close places. You are looking for an abandoned estate is the area that you were told Celeste is in. And you know that Morana's is somewhere near, but because Cloudkeeper was only able to see the kind of immediate surroundings, has only been able to say kind of an estate 2 hours north. It feels like they're very close.
So I think there's a look at Polaris, and it's a kind of calculated look, and then they shift. And what they shift into is the embodiment of something female. This is statues were made to this kind of female body. The curves of this torso are a song. It is blindingly, beautifully female, but somehow kind of wrapped in nauticality. Like, it's a bit piratey.
You shaped it into hot pirate.
Basically, yeah. Like if there were like an off the rack sexy pirate girl outfit, that's what they are now.
I was hoping for Mule, but this is okay.
And she goes, "All right, Captain, you want somebody to come with you today?"
Oh no, I didn't. Oh well.
I'm sorry, honey, but there's always got to be a reason. If there isn't a reason, it doesn't make sense, and then people don't ask questions, you see.
Right. That'll do. What are you looking for me to say here?
I just want you to know my name's Darla. And if anybody asks, I came with you, right?
Right. Understood, Darla.
Thank you.
Pulls out from the bag of holding, pulls out a sword in this shape, shaped like a cutlass, but mechanically a sword, and puts it into the side of their waist.
So as you gallop out of Eyra, Eyra is surrounded, when you leave it, obviously there's Uthroym on one side, but there is the thick, lush forest of Ishadema on the other side, and that's what you go out into as you are heading northbound. You can go at quite a pace on these riding horses. They are incredibly skilled, and you're going, like, they move 60 feet around for a kind of general reference of speed and how they're feeling. It's kind of about the middle of the day, probably now. There's light that's coming dappled down from things. And then I'm going to need to know Polaris's armor class.
Yay.
Sorry, but it was a natural 20 on the stealth.
All right, Polaris's AC is 18.
A bolt from a hand crossbow just in front of Polaris's face. Obviously too close to be a warning one. It's clearly one that missed. And it's at this point that you realise there are 3 figures with their faces largely covered in a combination of red, blue and brown leather armour, who are on 3 steeds who are chasing all of you. And I'm going to need someone to call either odd or even on whether NPCs go first or PCs go first.
Odd.
Odd. That's an 11. So you all get to go first. So you are clear on this, because you are on horses. Those horses, they can dash, they can dodge, and they can disengage. They will go on your turns. But this is basically a chase combat in a forest.
Yes.
You can take actions on your turn. Because these are trained horses, I'm not going to be like, you need to use your action to control what they're doing. They simply have those actions they can take. The first up is aware.
Mm-hmm.
And because they've made themselves known with this crossbow shot, you will all have +2 to your AC, as will they, because of the cover of trees as you are just going through this forest.
So they are mounted?
They are mounted. They are also on horses. And they are probably about 60
Burning
feet
horses here.
behind. They've been able to very quietly catch up as you're all pushing
horses.
forward. As you're all pushing forward, they are about 60 feet behind the furthest back of you.
60 feet.
Uh-huh.
Boo.
I may
Okay.
be able to shut this whole thing down with one spell if you want to hold an action.
Yeah, I think I will hold the action to dash.
You can have a separate, like, the horse's action can be to dash.
Okay. Genuinely at this point, particularly because I'm armed with the sword. Oh, no, I'll tell you what I can do. I will reach into my bag of holding, because I haven't drawn the sword yet. That's still at my side. And from the bag of holding, I will pull out a short bow and turn in saddle and ready a shot from a short bow.
So that's basically, like, so kind of using your bonus to actually get those things. And what is the trigger for your action if you're holding an action?
If I'm holding the horse dashing, is that what I'm holding?
No, you said you're readying an action to...
Well, it takes an action for me to remove something from the bag.
Of course. Yes, of course,
So
because it's with the broom and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you please roll me a d20 as well? Because this is technically a chase, in addition to being a fight.
Am I adding anything to it?
No, it's just a flat d20 roll.
9.
9. Can you please make a dexterity saving throw? You are going to be adding, it's going to be a flat roll because it is for your horse. As you are going and you kind of look around, but you've not paid enough attention to see that there is razor vine growing up from the forest floor in front of you, which is going to be a bit of a problem for your horse.
So I'm not adding my dex modifier to this.
You are not, because this is rolling for the horse.
4. 4.
4. Okay, so that is going to be 1d10. You hear the horse kind of like neigh and whinny as it takes only 2 points of slashing damage as it goes through this razor vine, and you are trying to figure out exactly who to shoot and when. Then it's going to be either Tender or Wrath, because you have the same dexterity modifier.
Raph, you wanted to shut this down, right?
I got a thing.
I mean, I was gonna do a Buffy thing, not the Vampire Slayer, but
The other type of Buffy.
the other type of Buffy thing.
You might not need to. It depends on how well things roll.
Or I could always give you inspiration before you did it.
Won't matter. It's a saving throw.
How is all of this to all of us while we're on horseback and in combat?
What I'd be doing is turning around and visibly about to cast spells, saying, "I think I've got the." No, it's the dwarf. I haven't got this.
Yeah, I would always defer to someone with an action they can actually take.
Okay, what am I
Being of a
rolling?
bardic persuasion.
Can all 3 horses and all 3 people on the horses please make wisdom saving throws?
Okay, flat rolls for the horses.
Yeah.
So this is rolling for the horses. That's an 8, a 3,
Nope.
and an 18.
Yes. 2 horses and 1 horse. No. How about the riders?
And for the riders, so wisdom save, yeah?
Yep.
That is a 21, a 6, and an 11.
The 6 and the 11 fail too. So in which case 2 horses. So there's 1 rider on a horse where the horse is affected. There's 1 rider where the rider and the horse are affected, and there's 1 where just the rider's affected, not the horse. So it's up to you to decide how this affects.
Yeah.
As I create a using some of the sort of fey magic-y energy sometimes that Wrath pulls out for spells, kind of a pinky glow, create a hypnotic pattern behind over the top of them. The horses that fail are charmed and have an incapacitated and have a speed of 0.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
One horse is still. Yeah, I'm just having to figure out who's gonna get thrown from a horse that abruptly stops.
Yeah. And 1 rider is also charmed on a horse that is still going. So it's up to you how you do that, because there's 1 rider on a horse where the horse has stopped, 1 where the rider and the horse both stop, and 1 where the horse doesn't stop but the rider technically does.
Cool. The one where both the horse and the rider stop, it's just literally that just stops, and the rider also just like kind of flops forward on the horse. Yep. The one where the horse stops but the rider is still kind of there. Oh god, there's so little space to roll. They roll a dex save of 17, and so they're not fully, like, they are thrown from the horse, but they manage to roll over and land on their feet, and they are still at least up. The one where the rider is incapacitated and the horse is still going, the rider just kind of looks a little bit zoned out, but the horse is still at least going in kind of like a straight line, because it doesn't have anything else telling it to not do that.
And I tell my horse to dash.
So you've got horses dashing,
Yep.
and we've got and with a hypnotic pattern, can people be shaken out of it?
Nope.
It's just continual.
Sorry, yes. If a spell ends effectively if it takes any damage, or if someone else uses an action to shake the creature out of its doom, has to use an action to do so.
Has to use an action. Okay, cool. Tender.
I am going to. I think I'm going to have free action speak and just say to, I guess, Polaris, do you want to find out why they were chasing us in the first place?
Oi, that could be useful. What's
he's
up with the only one that's still following us?
He's going to slow his horse down and just try and grab whoever is on that horse and try and like just roof them in front of him on his leg down.
Cool. You'll literally be kind of going like having to do a circle back and then grab them. So
Yeah.
you're trying to grab this person.
Off a moving horse while my horse is still moving. Just kind of try and keep pace with that horse.
Can you roll me? Can you roll me strength at disadvantage?
Yes.
They're not able to like. I'm not going to have them roll strength back, but this is more how good are you at doing this in motion. It can be in athletics if that helps.
Athletics. That is a low number. It is, in fact, a 3.
Oh god.
Because I find it funny. What I'm gonna say is what that does is you get the balance wrong, and it's very Robin Hood Men in Tights. But basically, you go to grab them, you overbalance, you swing to the underside of the horse, and you are currently upside down, grabbing onto this person. You've just got a hold of them, but this is not going well, and you can no longer properly control the horse either.
God.
Anything else you want to do with this turn?
Whoa! Whoa!
Just say whoa. Okay.
Say whoa. And have I got a bonus action of something I can do? Hang on. I'm not going to take out the dulcimer at this point. Seems a little ridiculous. I will.
You can do a
Go on,
lot
play
better.
it one-handed while hanging under a horse.
Whoa! Whoa! Play a song of. No, there's no point. I can't.
Okay.
In good conscience, can't give anyone inspiration in this particular.
Sure. Polaris, it's you next.
Well, Tender made his plan very clear, and then made a real big zero of it. Go around, go to the other side of the thing because I can't really reach across to help. So I go to the other side of the horse with the knocked out person on.
The knocked
Or
out
is it-
person has been dragged off that horse, but very clumsily, and is now being dragged behind Tender.
Oh no! That person's dead.
They're not dead yet.
Have they
Oh,
taken
my God.
damage?
gonna
Yeah, I've rolled some damage for them. It's only 4 damage.
They are no longer charmed. They're no longer hypnotized.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me.
No!
Sorry.
They just start shouting.
So right, okay, so they're shouting. All right, I ran back round and then draw my try. I'd like to. Yeah. I get 2 attacks.
Yeah, that you do.
I'd like to first. Actually, yeah, leave my trident for a second, and then try and swing down and try and scoop him up. Is that what is that? Is that a grapple?
Scoop.
Is it? Try and swing him up onto my horse.
I will say it's a grapple.
Cool.
Oh wait, sorry, David. I forgot. Actually, David and Chris, I forgot to get you to roll d20s. Could you very quickly roll me a d20 each?
It's a 17.
That's a 5.
David, nothing more happens to you, thankfully. Wrath, can you please make a Constitution saving throw?
Oh, great. I'm really good at them. That is a 15 on the dice. So it's a 15.
Amazing. Sorry, that was just me forgetting about chase complications. As you are going through on your horse and you've been kind of looking back to cast a spell, you look back, suddenly a huge number of branches just in your face. However, you are not blinded by things getting thrown in your eyes.
Oh god. Do I take any damage?
No,
Good.
you're fortunate in that. Sorry, back to Polaris.
I perform a grapple check, I suppose, to try and scoop this guy up.
Yes. I'm going to say do this with advantage, because the weird thing is, whilst normally someone would be resisting a grapple check, being dragged up onto a horse by you is currently preferable as a situation for them to just being dragged awkwardly by the
Looking this guy right in
elbow.
the eyes, going, "Why are you following?"
So my big watery arm swoops in, and then I've rolled a 23.
with a 23, because they're actually like, in response to Tender being like, who are you and stuff, it's just, who fights like this, and just like grabs onto Polaris as Polaris' arms come down, and you can drag them up. It seems to be a male human, from what you can tell, at least a masked human, but kind of like a lot of coverings and masks and such, like just cloth masks, and you manage to get them onto your horse.
Right. How do they react to being on my horse? In front of me, I suppose, because I pulled them up in front. And be like, because I can't really like swing someone. I'm not strong enough to like swing them effortlessly over my shoulder. If I scooped someone up, they'd be in front of me, right?
Yeah, if you want, they can be in front of you. Are they in front of you, like facing you?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. All of a sudden.
They just, at the moment, they just look shocked. There's not like things have moved very quickly. So they're currently just focusing on that, and then they also realise that their horse is just, there's no chance of getting that horse back now.
All the stable doors you want, mate. Okay. I'll Dom,
do you want a suggestion?
Would Raph be able to give it to me?
No.
I mean, just give me a suggestion. It's a cool.
You could jank his chain. I'm just saying.
Hey.
Chain. No, okay. No, I'm just trying to work out the rule of cool on doing this. I will throw. Here's what I'll do. I'm gonna hurl my trident away. Like pull it and like hurl it backwards.
Okay.
And then I would like to just try and give him a one-punch knockout with my fist that I just be like, behave yourself, you're coming with us, and swing. And as I complete the one-punch knockout, actually no, yeah, here we go. I'd like to do that. I'd like to pull it back to looking like I'm going to punch him, but actually I use my bonus action to summon my trident back in. And then I whack him with the blunt of the trident rather than the pointy end. And I'm trying to knock him out. Or just generally be like, don't get any ideas.
Why did you throw it away?
So I could, it's intimidation. It's like look, I can make my trident. Play nice.
Can you make me, because obviously if you're doing it with the butt of the trident, that's not how the trident's meant to be used.
No.
It's going to be bludgeoning, but like if you want to use the trident in this way, I'll allow that you can do that. It's probably still only going to be like a d4 plus your strength.
Right.
And it'll be bludgeoning rather than like piercing or anything, but feel free to go for it.
Yep. Okay. 15.
15. Unfortunately, 15 does not hit. They basically just
ducks out of the way.
He ducks down, but is also like holding onto you as he does that, because you're the only other thing that he can currently hold onto. And can you please roll me a d20?
You're okay. 18.
18. You're fine. Like in the middle of this, you're still able to kind of keep everything going. You're darting between trees. The horse is managing to avoid anything dangerous.
Cool.
Hannah.
Cool. So, Tender is being dragged behind a horse.
I'm just
Tender is underneath the horse currently.
Tender is underneath the horse.
Yes.
But is looking fine underneath the horse, or is looking like he needs help?
No, just a general rule of thumb. No one who is underneath the horse is fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's
Alright, in which case, I would like to cast. And how far away is Tender under the horse and Polaris and Assassin dude?
So I am going to count everyone. Like I'm counting the other horse that is still active, that was part of the other person's other group, as separate to this. But all of your horses, even though you are moving during combat and such, like I'm still saying that you are basically. What's that, Chris?
It's not the other horse, it's the other rider.
No, there's one horse that passed.
And that's the horse this person who was on and has now run off, and he's been dragged, grabbed up.
The horse was still with us, I think.
The horse though is still able to move, just because like that's the only horse that can still
Yeah, he.
move.
While I'm watching him, he looked around and saw his horse was long gone. Like.
Yeah, but that's just more like that the horse was behind.
I see.
Yes,
But in terms of all your horses, they are like at any point roughly within kind of like 30 feet of each other.
That's what I wanted to know. I would like to cast Command at 2nd level, where I can speak one word command to up to 2 creatures. I see. Wait. When I cast this spell using a spell slot of 2nd level or higher, I can affect 1 additional creature for each slot level above 1st. So I'm casting it 2nd, so I'd like to affect the horse that Tender is currently dealing with, and the dude, the assassin on Polaris's horse.
Does command apply to creatures or people?
Creature.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah. Does the creature need to understand what you are saying, or is it just that they need to hear?
It just says if it doesn't understand your language, or if your command is directly harmful to it. But
So
I assume a horse will understand the concept of like stop.
Don't stop. Okay.
What?
if basically, let me know, is your command to the horse going to be stop?
My command to both of them is going to be freeze.
Freeze. Okay. The person will understand that. The horse will not
And
have a
the horse
concept of
won't.
freeze as a substitute for stop.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Well then, I'm going to say stop to both of them.
Okay.
And I would like them to make a wisdom save, please.
Okay, so that's a 7 for the horse.
No.
So the horse is gonna just... So I think that's all horses have now been taken out of commission.
Yes.
And for the person, wisdom save, you say?
Yes, please.
15.
Oh. Person also stops.
Oh, okay. So they're just basically kind of, he's frozen there on Polaris, basically, having grabbed onto Polaris for stability.
Yeah.
So it's a very weird tense.
And with my free action, I'm going to yell, "Horses and riders dealt with, let's pause."
There is one rider who, I believe it was one rider who wasn't affected, who got thrown from their horse. Yes, so there is one more rider. However, they are on foot. They don't currently have an active horse.
In character, I would shout out, "Doesn't last forever, keep going."
And indeed, we have one of these individuals who's been chasing you, just like quite meanly, but understandably, the one who landed from that horse slaps that horse about the face to kind of shake it out of this, and then mounts that horse.
Oh no!
We see them
Time
start
for some
to.
horse death.
We see them start to canter round in order to shake the horse and the individual who were blocked on there. And the person, command, is that something that they can roll on afresh, or are they just going to be doing that for a minute?
On stop, they don't move and take no actions. Only lasts 1 round. They've already rolled the save.
Okay, so we have Polaris on the same horse as one of these people who's been sent after you for God knows what reason, who is currently semi-frozen, but just fiercely like looking into your eyes, but unable to look anywhere else at this current point in time. We have Tender, who is hanging underneath the horse still,
Which
being
can't
like
go anywhere.
But at least you
semi-dragged.
can get out under the horse and get back up on the horse. At least you're not being dragged under a horse now.
This is true.
We have
Welcome.
Aware and Wrath, who are just about able to kind of take care of themselves, though Aware's horse has taken a little bit of damage due to that razor vine. That reminds me, Hannah, could you roll me a d20?
Yep. Just a flat d20.
Yep.
18.
18. You are fine. Having like cast that spell, you are still in control of your horse, and you are all currently galloping through this forest, weaving in and out of trees, with 2 people much further back now, probably around 120 feet given how much your horses are dashing, but they are starting to get themselves ready. They are starting to get back in control, and that is where we are going to leave things this session.
I'm under a horse.
In the middle of forest combat chase things. So with Tender doing about as well in a fight as I would say Tender would do, given Tender's track record.
Yeah, Tender's doing Tender.
Yeah. So thank you very much for everyone watching. I'm just going to make sure I remember everything I need to say at the end. So normally this is a monthly show, but at the moment it's normally it's a monthly live show. Obviously right now it is something that we're doing remotely. Do keep an eye on our Twitter account, which is @Adventures250, which is where you're most likely to see updates of exactly when different streams are going out, because it's a little bit trickier for us to actually do monthly shows at the moment, but the next one should be out in like the first half of May. Also, Twitter's a great place to see what we're up to. We have Monday nights we are always streaming D&D of some form. At the moment it's Eberron Terminus, which is a very kind of action based Eberron set campaign, so a lot more like fast paced than this. Think of like massive weird fights happening on airships at night rather than kind of bumbling through the forest underneath a horse vibes. We are @Adventures250 on Twitter. We are Adventurers Wanted pretty much everywhere else. On YouTube, where you can see our old campaigns and other games that we've played. On Facebook, where there's updates. On Patreon, where you can support us as a patron, and you get things like this as playable modules. You get blogs on how to run games, plan them, role-playing, all that kind of thing, and various other perks, so do check that out. Additionally, if you want to support us in another way, you can just tell people about us on social media and things like that. Word of mouth is a huge deal for us. Also, thank you so much for watching this, and as like an extra little treat, normally we do giveaways. Unfortunately we can't this month, but if you check out the Thornless Rose, which we will put links to in the Twitch chat, and it's @TR_Leathercraft on Twitter. If you use the code Undergods10, you get 10% off anything in that store, and Thornless Rose has a really cool range of dice, of leather dice bags that are shaped like D20s, leather dice trays, and loads of really awesome stuff. And also another thank you to our sponsors, D&D Beyond and Ultra Pro. There are links for them in the Twitch chat as well, of really, really cool stuff that you can find on their websites and get with them. So I'm going to hand over, because normally this is where we go, let's plug everything that we're doing, because we are often people who work in theatre and live performance. It's a bit of a different vibe at the moment, but I am still, if anyone's working on any live streams or anything else that's happening, I'm going to pass over. So if we can kind of sound off alphabetical order, etc., on anything you'd like to plug.
I run the company with you, Chloe. You said everything. All good.
I have actually been doing stuff along with Mr. Thomas Black here. We have just appeared in a Midsummer Night stream on Made at Home, which is went out live last night and was a great success, viewed by thousands, or at least 1,000 and a bit people, which is great. More stuff coming from Made at Home, potentially from us, so keep an eye on Made at Home and the Stay In Facebook page. And I am also with my wife Rachel doing reading books at various times of day over at Flamingo House Limited on Facebook, and that's all going up on YouTube eventually as well, under Flamingo House. So just search for Flamingo House and hopefully you'll find more stuff.
On Twitter, I'm @TheSarahGriffin. I'm also on Instagram. Anything that I am doing with streaming or appearing on podcasts or anything like that will be going up there once I figured out what that is.
I'm Hannah. I'm on Twitter @ChalahOutLoud, as in the bread and then out loud. But I also, with David as well, every Wednesday do something with Le Théâtre de Phoenix, where we are voicing the Phoenix Wright games on twitch.tv/ChazzaRed. ChazzaRed. We are having a whale of a time going through all of the Phoenix Wright games.
It's very good.
It's very good. And David and I are recurring characters on that. So that's a really good game. Also, I'm a poet, so if you would like some poetry or if you need your kids tutored, I do that too professionally. So, yeah.
Yes, as David said, I was in Midsummer Night's stream last night, which was great fun and can be watched on YouTube. If you put Midsummer Night stream and the Stay In into YouTube, it's apparently very easy to find. I also run a publishing company called Sea Lion Press. We do alternate history fiction. We've just published our 111th book, I think, this week. And one of the good things about lockdown is that many people are having more time to read. And so in light of that and in light of the reduced financial situation for everybody, we are doing a buy one, get one free deal at the moment. It's a little bit personalised in that if you buy any of our books from any of our available retailers and then you email me your receipt, I will give you a copy of any other book that you like that is cheaper or the same price. So there will be details for that on our website on sealionpress.co.uk. Once again, sealionpress.co.uk. Have a look at what we do, and if you like the look of any of it, you may be able to get 2 of them. Thank you.
Cool. And I'm gonna also very quickly plug. I also write like small scale RPGs at roll/flip/draw on itch.io. And currently, because of lockdown, I have a sale on which is called the Everything is Free sale, where, shocker, everything is free. So if you're looking for even like solo games or 2-player games to play, then do check that out as well, because there are a few there. Cool. That's us. Do check out more stuff on our Twitch channel. Our weekly stream of D&D is always 6 to 9 p.m. British Summer Time, and it's on twitch.tv/Adventurers Wanted, and also twitch.tv/D&D, the official D&D Twitch channel. So we hope that we'll see you there soon. Thanks so much. Bye.